tell me what to make. I don't care about your take. It's my channel, and I do what I want. Wah!
All right, we're live.
Before they go to
Okay, we're live. Okay, we had a 3-second warning, and I drink some tea, so I'm just surprised I didn't like cough or choke on that. So I was like, oh, 3 seconds, okay. But hey, everybody, we're live. This is crazy because we have finished another book. So I feel like this happened the last time, but yeah, we're about to go into a little bit of a lull period. We have recently finished Malazan, and now we're finishing up with Demon in White. Or really, it should be the Daemon in White.
Shine
The
bright
Daemon.
like a
So,
diamond.
as a computer scientist, that just always gets me that like they're called demons, which is like it's like computer daemon. It's like, yeah. So anyway, for those of you who've gotten to Demon in White and didn't know that, that's where that came from. So yeah, it's really fun. But welcome back to Hobby Vomit. My name is Ian, and going in a clockwise direction, we have.
Los.
Yeah. And I'm Matt. Hello.
There we go.
We did it.
So I'm just
Friggin'
gonna
nailed it.
expect you all just know which.
I think we've
direction we're
memorized
going.
You
It-
said
it-
clockwise.
it
You
took,
said
like-
clockwise. I was just like,
Yeah, it only took us like 12
There we
videos,
go.
but we have memorized the 3-person order.
Mhm.
orientation.
Well, it's
Yeah.
just like so like a little bit of background because we're all on Discord, and then Matt is being awesome, and he's recording this, and so he's got recording software
So
that's basically
awesome.
capturing us from Discord, and so there's always that moment where I'm about to like say a point, and I'm like, did Matt change where we are in the
Yeah,
in
just
the
to screw
video?
with everyone. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's the same as last time. Like, but maybe it's not.
Yeah.
So I have that hesitation. So, but yeah, so that what I was asking before in the last 3 seconds was I was trying to remember exactly where we left off, but Matt reminded me it was chapter 50. We had read to the end of chapter 50, right? And so we started this one at 51, took it all the way to the end. So if you're watching this video, have not watched our previous video on Demon in White, you should definitely go do that because we're about to spoil some stuff.
Mhm.
But we are going to be talking through the rest of Demon in White. We will start off by kind of giving some of our impressions of Demon in White in general, without spoiling. We'll just kind of give our scores. Are we okay to maybe give some like overall scores for the book, or just an overall impression?
I brought
And
my
then,
scores.
Okay.
I brought my full breakdown, and I brought just my general score, depending on. I didn't know what everyone wanted to do, but I can do either. I'm just gonna
Okay.
bring them up.
And then we will get into talking through what happened and our impression of it and our kind of opinions on it, what we liked, what we didn't like, and take that away to the end of Demon in White. So which will be really exciting. And then this will be our last video for Demon in White, and so then we'll kind of talk about when we can start working on the next one. And we don't have a definitive date in this video, but we will post out to our channel when we have a definitive date on when we expect the next video for this to be.
Mhm.
And we'll just basically use that as a way to give you all updates on what our schedule looks like for doing our book reviews. So yeah. Okay.
Sick.
Anything else?
No. I think I'm ready
Okay.
to go.
Who wants to give the high level overview of what happened last time, real quick?
Like last video or like?
Last video, yeah, in the first 50 chapters.
Oh yeah. Los, do you want to? You want me to?
Ooh, if you choose me, I'm gonna get into the weeds of like everything. I'm the worst person to do a high level overview.
Yeah. I want a high level overview that doesn't require I go into cryo sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try and
exactly.
give one. So we catch up with Hadrian. It's been years, many years. And basically we find out that the Extrasolarians have partnered with the Cielsen, and we kind of find the counterpart to Hadrian, the big bad what's his name? Doryaika, and he's got
the
like lieutenants.
Prince of Princes.
The Prince of Princes. He's got some
The
he's got some
scourge of
lieutenants.
Earth.
The Scourge of Earth. He's got some cool names. And then Doryaika, which is less cool. But so we got that. We get some battle. He goes off on a non-completable mission, a mission where he was destined to fail, where some people had been captured or removed. We don't know where they were, but they end up finding them, saving the day, and going back, and kind of being paraded around. His notoriety has been growing as almost like a semi-religious figure, and then he is betrothed to the Emperor's daughter, Celine.
Celine.
Celine, or yeah, sorry. And basically, the Empress plots against him with a couple other people to have him killed, and there's a big gladiator duel in which he proves himself yet again in an unexpected way to the people, and his notoriety continues to grow. And so then the Emperor sends him off to the library to study the Cielsen, and that's kind of where we leave off. High-ish level.
Yeah, and really what we've discovered is that this is truly just a quest to acquire more titles. He's very insulted by how many titles Toriyaka has.
Yeah.
And so, in the first half of the book, we got our next title, which is like what is it, the mortal that cannot be cut, or the man who cannot be cut by any sword. We had half mortal in the previous book, right?
Half mortal,
yeah. Yeah, the man that no sword can cut. And then we'll get our next title in the back half of this book. But you'll have to wait for that. So anyway, awesome. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Who wants to start off with scores?
Are we doing barf? Are we doing full barf?
All right. Sure.
So I'll quickly explain the whole barf thing. Let's start with overall score, and then we can go into individual action items from there. So again, as a reminder for people, we used to do these as separate videos, but we're integrating them into our final videos. But we're doing our barf score, which, is hobby vomit, so we got to do that. But B is for believable. Basically, did you find the characters to be believable? A is for authorial voice. This is a time to talk about prose and whether or not you think the author accomplished their goals for the book. Then R is rhythm. What do you feel about the pacing of the book? Was it too slow, too fast? Was it the Goldilocks zone? And then F is feeling. And did it give you the feels? What kind of impression or lasting ideas, what resonated with you? What did it leave you with at the end of the story? So, and then of course barf's S for final score.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going one by? We're just doing our total score right
now.
Yeah.
Let's do overall score.
All right, Los.
All right. I am notoriously terrible at scoring things, as everybody knows. So I'm just gonna go with a little bit of a sound bite, like yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But you guys remember my last score for the first half of this book was like, yeah, we're getting into the good stuff, the juicy stuff. We had everything going for that one. I waited for the end for that one too, because I was letting it build up. These guys thought I was gonna just dump all over it, but no, it's just my cup of tea. The second part doesn't doesn't disappoint. Again, it just hits all the points, except for maybe pacing. Pacing's a little bit off. It's a little slow in some parts where I would he gets the point across a little bit too often. But other than that, it's been amazing. It's what I wanted to see. I liked the characters that we were talking about. I liked the world. I like the new elements that are being introduced. I like the superpower. I'm just kidding. I like the feeling, and I like. I just like the rhythm. Yeah, it's good. Everything's good. What do you guys think?
Nice. And you want to go?
Yeah. So I think I'm still trying to decide between two values here, and it kind of all comes down to one thing. But I don't want to talk about that thing because it's a bit of a spoiler, but it comes down to how some of the characters got resolved in this book. It's hard for me to decide whether or not I thought that was a good choice and overall good for the plot line, the story, or if I feel like that was a poor choice. But I'm hovering right now between like a 3.8 and a 4.0. I do think this is the best Sun Eater book we've read so far. Which I was the impression I was kind of given coming into it is that a lot of people really did like Demon and Whites. I will say that as far as what we've read so far in the series, I think like this ending was more enjoyable for me than the first part of the first book, because I actually really liked like the first part of the first book, Empire Silence, when he was there. I thought that was like, with us getting to meet him, Tor Gibson, the family dynamic, and like seeing what happened with Tor Gibson in the first book. I just thought that was like, I thought like that could have been its own novella and it would have been so solid. And so this was a part where I was very interested, was in where the story was going. I was following the characters. I actually finished it in just a few days. Kind of like stuck with it after we were done with our last video. And overall, I felt like it was a very, very cool half of the book, and it really brought a lot of things together from the story as a whole. But as cool as it was and as entertaining as it was, I do wonder still about some of the character storylines that are being evolved in this book, and feel like some of those fell flat. And so I'm leaning a little bit more towards 3.8. But I would say the character storyline right now that's impressing upon me the hardest. I don't want to talk about because that would be a big spoiler. But I would just say that I think this is continuing to be a weakness for Christopher Rocchio. Is it just we're multiple books in now, and it feels like he has a hard time really building up momentum for other characters. And I don't know if that's like the single POV or if it's like the frame narrative trying to tell things, about the past from the future. But it seems like we're having a really hard time, like building up momentum for other characters to the point where I'm really, really invested in how they resolve. I'm not saying that their resolutions are like irrational or don't make sense, but more so of just like, was it the payoff that I was expecting with that character, or did I not get enough time and wanted more time? Do I feel like the character was a little bit, undercooked and now it's gone, that kind of thing. And so I think it would be really nice to like get some more time with other characters, not just from Hadrian's perspective. But I know that doesn't necessarily mesh with what we're going for here as far as writing style. So
Nice. Well, I'll be the Debbie Downer. I gave it overall a 3.75. So good. I think this book is also when I finished it and I was trying to rate it, I was trying to I'm trying to be a little bit more not harsh, but like to me a 5-star book should be like a favorite that like I want to immediately reread or I want to tell people about. And this is just in my opinion not that like with Sun Eater. I think I've realized I don't think I'll ever reread them. Like I'm enjoying the story enough, but I'm not enjoying reading it. Which I think that's something I'm also struggling with because that happens with movies too. Sometimes I'm like, I don't ever want to see that again, but it was great. It's just like I don't want to go through it again. So I don't know if where this lands with that. I could see this go. I'm kind of between like a 3.75 and a 4. But after writing this review, I did go back. So just for reference of my other scores, I gave Empire Silence a 3. I gave Howling Dark a 4. I've since bumped Howling Dark to a 3.5, and this is a 3.75 because I do think this is the best Sun Eater book. But I do have a lot of problems with it. I think the length, it's too long. There are battles that are over 150 pages. Like, that's just too much, in my opinion. I think characters, have some pros and some cons. But honestly, the writing style for me is like the thing I like the least. I just can't get over this feeling that Christopher Rocchio is just trying to prove how smart he is constantly through Hadrian, and it just bugs me. And especially because at certain points it loses the plot. There will be often times where like a character will be like something simple like, "Hey, what do you want to eat for dinner?" And then Hadrian goes on like an 8-paragraph inner monologue about philosophies of life and death, and then he's like, "Steak," and I'm like, "What are we doing here?" Like, I'm like, "What steak? What is he answering?" I don't even remember the question because so much time has passed. To where, yeah, I don't know. But then on other times he's really repetitive with like the ant hills and the honeycombs and the blue moon of the sword. I'm like, Jesus Christ. We get it, dude. So it just feels inconsistent for me. But I really love the first half of this book, I would say. And honestly, maybe we're just cursed. But like, had this book ended right where we left off, one, I think it'd be a great ending in a series, right? I think we've accomplished a goal. We had some politicking, which was really fun and exciting. And most of everything that happened since, chapter 50 felt pretty isolated. Like, I don't really feel like I needed the first half of this book for the second half of this book with a couple little things. So this is the longest one in the series by a couple hundred pages, and I feel like I felt that. I think emotional impact is weak. Like I don't really have any moments where I am feeling any kind of certain way. I'm just kind of reading. And I think a lot of that stems from the character work being a little surface level for me. But overall, I still think it's a good book. I think it's the best Sun Eater book, but I don't think it's without its problems. So I did give it a 3.75, maybe a 4 on a generous day. But yeah, I'm just trying to be a little more harsh with my critiques. That's why maybe I'm a little lower end.
Well, one thing I think would be kind of fun to ask you real quick. I know we're not going to spoilers just yet, but what are your general feelings about cool factor? Like if a book has a cool factor, how do you
Sure.
rate that?
To me, that would be in probably it would land in feeling. Like that can be emotional impact to me. If like I'm excited to be reading it and I'm lost in the moment. If it can like make me live in that world because of a cool factor, then I do think that can carry it. It doesn't. I don't have to be crying or something. You know what I mean? Like there's different. I think there's a pretty broad spectrum of emotional impact, and I do think there is a good amount of cool factor in this book. For sure. I think that's really what's driving that score up. That's really the only thing driving that score up for me. I do think, and we'll get into a little bit more with spoilers. I do think part of my lack of not even lack of it sounds like I'm being not lack of enjoyment, but what was holding it back a little bit was expectations, both from community, right? Everyone's like, this is a perfect book. It's one of the best books I've ever read. And so I was expecting that. And then two, just like we've talked about what I really want from this series, and it continues to like dangle this carrot and be like, maybe. I'm like, oh. And there's just like, nope. We're not going to do anything exciting like that. We're just going to keep it vanilla, baby. And to me, I think that would, that's a me problem, but it did hurt my enjoyment a little bit. And we can talk about specifics of what did that once we get into spoilers. But yeah, enjoyed it. I want to keep reading for sure. But I'm also like, if this is the best the series has to offer, I'm a little concerned. Not enough to where I wouldn't read it. But we have 4 more books to go. That's a lot. It's a lot of reading to go. So, should we get into...
See, if that was Malaz, then I'd be like, oh, we only have 4 more books?
Exactly.
Don't worry. They get longer. The next one I'm about to read of Malaz is like 42 hours long on Audible.
Yeah. So there is part of me...
You guys can't start that yet.
Yeah. I do think about that often of like, is my enjoyment of other things lesser because I'm reading Malazan at the same time? But then also at the same time, I just started Dune. I'm 100 pages in and I love it. Like, I'm like, no, a good book will hold up. Like, it really will. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I literally when I read Dune several times when I was growing up because my dad's dad, my grandpa, loved Dune. And so my dad never really liked he liked watching like the movies that were coming out like early 2000 stuff, but he didn't really like reading it. But he wasn't a big reader. I mean, I think that's the thing, right? But yeah, I when we watched the first Dune movie, like with Tom, between the oh my gosh, cannot say it. Chalamet. Timothy
Chalamet.
Thank you. Timothy Chalamet. So when we watched the Dune, it's clearly I should have just said with Zendaya. You guys would know what I'm talking about.
Come on, yeah, the real star.
Yeah. But
wait, she's in that?
Dude, I just say that because she's like, I mean, great for her. Like she's in so many things. It's crazy, which
she's
is awesome.
Having
Good for
a
her.
crazy year this year, like an insane generational run.
I literally read it like I started reading it after we watched the movie, and I didn't stop. I literally just finished it in one go. Like, and I don't do that very often.
That's crazy. That's a big
one go.
That's a big ass book.
One go. I didn't have as many kids at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. I've added like 2 kids with every movie. So
yeah, 24 hours, like just straight up.
It is really, honestly, that's like one of the best things I can say for it. It's like, even though it can be confusing with, there's a lot going on, it's so readable. And I was just talking to Los about it before you hopped on. Like, I've never read another book where it jumps POVs so much Like Game of Thrones, it's usually like each chapter is a new POV or whatever. Here, it's like every other sentence it can change POVs and start. You can get inner monologue from 4 or 5 characters within 5 pages, and I think that just makes it really easy to buy into the characters, even if you don't know exactly what's going on with the politics yet. It just makes it really readable. Exposition doesn't, even sometimes where it's a little handholdy, it doesn't really feel bad. He incorporates it in pretty well. So yeah, to me, it's just like at the end of the day, Malazan I do think is like a notch above everything else for me. But a good book will still give me that excitement. Like it got to the point with Bree where it's like we gotta do Sun Eater today. We gotta do it. Not that I'm not enjoying, it, but like when we were doing Dark Tower, I'm like, we get to do Dark Tower today. I want to do Dark Tower today. So to me, that's it's like a book can't really achieve a 5 for me, without that for sure.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, books need to be able to stand out. I mean, I would say the only problem with the Dune book now is that if you read it, you feel like you've got schizophrenia because you'll be reading it, and then in the background, your mind's like, "Oh, you're like, wait, where'd that come from?" You know?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
yeah. I just can't do it. So, but yeah, like you could hear it in your head. You're like, wait, what, where is that? Where is that?
Oh my gosh, you get the feeling almost after every book. Once you finish the book, you just like existential, like your awareness wakes up, man.
Yeah.
I swear, it's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, but I had a reason for bringing it up. It'll come up later. Not the schizophrenia, but the Dune book. But okay. I have one last question before we get into it.
Yeah.
And it's for Los, because you were just talking about how with reading Malazan, it's kind of hard sometimes to judge, like, is that affecting my experience? But I will say, like, one thing I feel like is true for you and I, Matt, is, and kind of true to the name of the channel, like, we have a lot of different hobbies, and so there is a way in which, like, I at least would not be someone where it's like, I'm just going to chug through a bunch of C tier books or like books I'm not enjoying as much because I want to be reading. It's like, if I hit that point, I'm just going to be spending more time playing board games, right? Or maybe spending more time watching movies. And that's kind of is with me, but this is one thing we haven't really talked about, Los. Like, how like, what's your general approach, or how is that typically with you? Do you just kind of like float between hobbies when it's dry, or is there something like that gets your attention and then you jump in, or like how do you kind of like navigate those waters with your various hobbies? Because you have all the same hobbies we do. We play board games together, we talk about anime together, we read books together.
Yep. So that's a good question. For me, it's about my routine. So like how much time I'm spending in my car is indicative of how much reading I get done, because almost all of my book is like the last actual physical book I read was Dune, in fact. But yeah.
There you go.
And everything else has all been straight audiobooks, because that's just how I have to allocate my time. Because I have so many hobbies that are time consuming. So that I get X amount of time a day to drive to work, or to drop Siri off at school, or my daughter. And then pick her up or do whatever, get groceries, and all the time, like, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't listen to music. I listen to audiobooks. So, because that's how I have to stay on top of reading and stuff like that. Or reading.
It's reading.
Yeah.
We're saying it here.
Yeah. I mean, your mind is like going through the whole thing, right? Yeah. But yeah. Aside from that, everything else just kind of fits in its holes. If I want to kind of relax a little bit, I do a little bit of the gaming. If board gaming to me is more of the social aspect of my life, so those are like reserved for really late at night, if people are on and I just can't sleep, or specific reservations for my board game group here on Fridays and stuff like that. So it's all about routine for me to navigate a wider variety of different hobbies.
Nice.
Like it.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
for Bree and I like the way I think books are just the exception. They're the outlier because they are a lot more of a commitment than like if I'm watching a C tier movie, it's like, well, what's an hour and a half, 2 hours? Books are like, 15, 20 hours to where it's just like it kind of skews all the ratings too, right? Because there's DNFing or like did not finishing books, which is just like if you're not enjoying it, put it down, because what's the point in doing 20 more hours of this? So then therefore it does skew a lot of like, especially being like newer to reading. I'm very much like finding books I think I'm going to like. I'm like picking and choosing. Same with like games or whatever. It's like I'm not going and playing all these Cards Against Humanity games that these knockoffs or whatever. I research games that I'm like, I know I'll like that. I know I'll at least like it. I'm not gonna hate it or something. That's kind of how books are to me, and that's how Bree and I view books the same way I view TV shows now. Of like we use our TV show time together to now read. And it's like we read an episode a day instead of watching an episode a day, because it takes about as long to read a book as it does to watch a whole season of TV. So yeah, that's kind of how we do that and what we would fall off of. Obviously, it's different with discussions like this. I think this is really what's driving me for Sun Eater, at least. It's like it is still, our last discussion for the first half of this book. I think we all kind of came in like, yeah, like there's not that much to say. Like we had a good time, but then like we talked for like 2.5 hours and it was great. I loved it. So it's just fun to discuss. It heightens, even if my enjoyment of the content doesn't heighten, like it still heightens the experience overall.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I love it. Okay, who wants to kick us off with now going into spoilers? So and that's kind of one of the reasons why we want to dive into individual scores, because I feel like, as we've done this now a few times, I feel like the individual scores, it's best to talk about that more in the context of spoilers.
Sure.
So everybody's got our impressions and our tangents. And so now if you've not finished, I don't know why you're watching this video, but you should go finish. And we're gonna talk about more specific thoughts and talk about kind of what happened in the section. So, Los, you were saying you were gonna get deep in the weeds, man. Brother, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
start
Yeah.
us off.
So I guess we get to the library. He shows off the ring. We have some whatever. He's finally at the library with Valka. Valka's just like, finally, take me somewhere nice. Valka is very happy and is in her element and in this part of the book, right? So she's categorizing, she's scanning, she's basically a human computer, right? Like, so she's just memorizing all these pages, just flipping through books, and she's super excited about the whole process. They spend a couple years there, going through like the nitty gritty stuff. One day, and then the big reveal happens. That happens in this library, and that is when Hadrian finds a long lost friend. And if you know Hadrian, you know he does not have very many friends, right? Like actual friends, people who he would call friends. And this big reveal is the mentor that he had thought was gone, but really was on ice this entire time up until the last 4 years, if I'm correct, right? And this is Tor Gibson. He sends a messenger to retrieve Hadrian. Hadrian's like, wait, who? Who are we going to see?
Mm-hmm.
Messenger's like, no, just come see this guy. And ends up meeting up with Tor Gibson and is dumbfounded. They go over literally everything, and I think is one of the more interesting parts of the book is their reunion, and they talk about Hadrian himself. And I think as far as character development goes, whenever Hadrian talks to Tor Gibson, he actually develops as a character probably the most in those couple chapters, right? Like he gets to see inside of himself a little bit differently with Tor Gibson's input, specifically his I guess his daddy issues. He
Gibson
always
tells
had
him like
thought
it
that
is.
Crispin was Daddy's favorite because he's just like his dad. Like he'll do whatever. And Tor Gibson's like, no, actually, you're the one that's like your dad, because you don't want to be like your dad, and that's exactly how your dad was. So he finds that out, and he gets to really see things in almost like a new light because Tor Gibson is quatsing him and everything. Yeah, and Tor Gibson really appreciates that Hadrian actually found Valka, and also Hadrian found a quest worthy of his dramaticism or whatever it is.
His
If
drama.
that's yeah. So it was a really really interesting couple chapters for me, and I think that is that I guess storyline injection was really really neat.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
guys think of that section?
Yeah, so I actually really liked how it was handled. I know that some people can find that kind of thing to be a bit slower, but I actually really like how that's handled. I actually almost like that better than just the time cuts. Like seeing that they're, I mean, knowing that they're awake and knowing that they are being there for several years, like, I don't need to be with them every day of that time period, right? But just kind of like getting a gist of, oh, they're in the library, that takes time. And like kind of seeing those elements of like them settling in and getting used to it over those many years. I think it is a cool way to handle it, and it gives a better scope for the story. It's like, yes, some things do just take a lot of time, and that's okay. There were two things I thought were really interesting in this as well. I thought it was really fun that they comment on how Valka processes information, where it's like the superpower. She can like skim through books and she remembers all of it. But Hadrian, tells the prince, he's like, yeah, she can do that, but she has zero thoughts on or opinions on anything that she's processed, because really what she's doing is she's just taking pictures with her brain, right? She's not actually like reading it or thinking about it. It's just there. And I was like, that's kind of cool because it like kind of offsets it in a way, right? It's like, yes, massive amount of information, but no real analysis yet. Like no action. There's nothing we can act on yet. So I thought that was pretty neat. And then the other kind of element, although a subtle, was that they did refer to this time period as their shore leave. And so if you think about it, they have a lot of troops on ice. And so they do actually have to like be on shore leave for a long period of time because they have to like rotate everybody through. They got to take people off of ice and let them, be out in the world, right? And then they got to put them back on ice, and put other people on ice, right? And so they kind of have to like rotate through that entire contingent, and that's going to take a long time. You can't wrap that up in a couple of weeks, right? And so that was kind of a neat element to really, I would say, help that time fit with the overall like mechanics of their world, and it really just fits. I thought fit well into that theme that we see with Palatine's, particularly like of their long life, like how valuable that life is because things just take longer now because of the demands of space travel and things like that. So I thought those elements were really cool. Overall, the meeting Tor Gibson and the library, I thought this was a great just kind of way to help build us up again for the rest of the book. And I really enjoyed this piece. It was very rustic, very cozy. It was very cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. I enjoyed this part maybe the most. There's really like 3 defining sections here of this part. Not Bart. And yeah, this might be my favorite. The slow moments. I do think like the strength of this series so far, that's kind of revealed itself a little bit more, a little bit in Howling Dark, more so in this book, is like, yeah, the way he handles time. I think it works in a way that feels big in scope but can still feel personal, and I enjoy that. And we are stopping. You could think that, and I was worried we were going to fall into this trap of, well, if the only time we stop is these big, huge, impactful moments, then it's just like it feels like we're just jumping from big bursting moments to big bursting moments, where it's like these slow moments can be and are just as important as big battles and things like that. So I do really like that. I liked seeing Gibson again. I think we all kind of knew it was gonna it had to happen. At one point I was like, did Hadrian why did I have a little bit of a hard time believing that Hadrian genuinely believed like he was dead. He kept saying it, and I was like, are we supposed to believe that Tor Gibson is dead? Like I could buy into like he'll probably never see him again, right? This is a big world, and time is I get why time happens in a certain way, but like I don't know. Like he kept saying like he's dead. He does this a lot. And it is Hadrian being dramatic of like someone leaves the page, he's like, they're dead. They're dead. I'll never see him again. They're like, I'm over
So
here.
true.
He's like, oh my god, thank God.
He's dead to me.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
dang. Like Switch is dead now too? He thinks Switch is
Well,
dead?
probably. I mean, unless he's on ice for a long period of time, he probably is. Because he didn't get. Did he get the patrician? I don't think so, right? No.
He didn't, but he like called in a favor to like Hauptmann. I just feel like I would be surprised if we never see Switch again, or yeah, maybe, but
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I do think the Gibson part was I liked their interaction. I think Gibson tells Hadrian kind of what we as readers have been seeing for a long time,
Right.
which is like, you are your dad, bro. Like, like you really are. So like, hopefully at this part we can kind of start moving beyond that. I think that was Hadrian's struggle for these hundreds of years. And that's why I think the time works really cool. It's like thematically we can really grow over a short amount of time in pages, but over a long amount of time. Like he should be growing significantly over hundreds of years. So when it's a little bit more of like a snap, it bothers me a little bit less. It can make it a little bit more believable. But I do think the Tor Gibson stuff, it was good. It just was like really short lived, and like we're just moving on from him. It makes sense for the plot and everything why he is not going. Yeah, it just feels like, all right, there he was. Maybe we'll never see him again. Who knows?
All right, we'll see. We'll
have to
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after he, sorry, do you want me to continue, or did you have another
I
comment?
was just to say that in the last video I mentioned that we had not yet gotten like Tor Gibson's impression of Hadrian as he is now,
Mhm.
and I think that even if we don't see Tor Gibson again, I think that is a really important element to the story, is the fact that he met Tor Gibson, and Tor Gibson was like, I can't fathom all of this, I can't understand all of this, but ultimately he doesn't approach Hadrian with fear or prejudice. Right? He doesn't come out and be like, no, you screwed it all up. Like you did this all wrong. Right? He just accepts like Hadrian as he is, and then continues to be that mentor figure, right? That father figure, and work with Hadrian to help him navigate these next steps, right? And I also like that there's like a few elements in there as well, as like the old Tor Gibson that we saw, like it's still the same Tor Gibson here in very much the same way, where like Hadrian mentions Crispin. He's like, oh well, that sucks for Devil's Rest at Crispin. He's like, no, actually Crispin's a pretty good leader. Like he was always going to be a good leader.
Sister's the leader now.
Yeah, he learns about his sister too. He has a sister.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't even know he had a sister.
He didn't even know.
Maybe I shouldn't say like leader in the sense like he's like leader of Devil's Rest, but
like
like
a man.
maybe more so. Yeah, exactly.
Or
Like
human.
he's like, no, he's grown up to be like a good man. Like he always was going to be a good man. And so, in a way he's like, he's still that kind of mentor to those two kids. It's like, well, just because I haven't seen you in so many years doesn't mean that I'm just going to roll with everything that you're saying. Like he's still kind of pushing on those elements. But I think ultimately the fact that he accepts Hadrian as he is really important.
Yeah, and the
So, like,
prince got a little
yeah.
tutoring, if I remember correctly, right? Like,
Mhm.
didn't Hadrian ask ask Tor Gibson that he needs a little schooling? So he got to school the prince a little bit. And an interesting question popped up. He's I think during one of their conversations, he was just like, we have to consider the possibility that the emperor sent the prince with you, not solely just to out on a whim. He could have like purposely like sent this specific prince with the idea of him potentially leading the entire empire in the future, like naming this prince to be the successor to the throne.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, and it gets an idea of like, yes, there's this whole like, pecking order, but these dudes live a long time. It's like
Mhm.
by the time that the empire needs to pass on, like they're all gonna be of a pretty significant age. And it's like if he's a young prince, but he's got many years under his belt, he might be a good leader. And as the youngest one, he could then reign for the longest period of time.
Right.
So, but yeah. So I forgot about that, but that is a cool thing to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we'll get to the next part now. So they've been in the library for a while. They finally get access to the archives. These are like top secret archives where they keep all the juicy stuff. Apparently, takes a little bit because they're being stonewalled by the leader there. I forgot what his name was, but he is a relative of the emperor. I think one of his cousins or something like that. So he didn't get immediate access with the ring. He had to the emperor had to phone in basically and tell him, yeah, these guys need access to this place because this place has not been opened since it was sealed 10,000 so years ago, which is crazy to think of a door being closed for that long. Which he goes into, he repeats himself a little bit on this with the smell of the place, and how dank it is in there basically. So they get into the archive and then they find basically nothing. Like, yeah, they kind of find like pictures of the Americanii, which is America's presidential what is it, legacy, whatever it is, the lineage of presidents from America that reigned, and some artifacts there, but nothing pertaining to what they were actually looking for, which was information on the Quiet, until Valka discovers a secret of the shape of the archive itself in the blueprint, and they figure out it looks like a blast pit, meaning that why is there a something in the shape of a blast pit? And they're worried about something getting out of this place. They have nukes covering it in case something gets out. There's an entire water system above it so they can flood the thing. They don't think that they want to just do that just for random artifacts, right? No, they find out that there's a ship underneath it, or they hypothesize that it's very likely to be a ship. And then Hadrian just starts poking holes in the place till he finds the door. That's basically it.
That part was funny.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. And he was like, all right, I won't.
Yeah. He's like, I've already been here for 4 years. Okay, we don't need to wait. Not waiting for permission.
It's like, don't you do it, Hadrian. Don't you?
Yeah, it was
that
great.
part does get me. He's like, on a hunch, are you kidding me? And then just dink, and he finally hits the door, and they go through and they find this ship that still somehow miraculously has power coming from it. And it's basically, long story short, they meet an AI, right? Like they meet the one of the daughters of Columbia, I believe is what it's called. And Columbia was, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Columbia was the daughter of the last president of America, which basically created these AI to prevent let me see, the destruction of humanity, to create peace for humanity, right? Like there's no he didn't want any problems. They didn't want any problems from it.
That was definitely part of it. Now this specific one had a different task, right? Which is because
the
part of what you're getting into also gets into like their evolution.
Yes.
But if so to kind of mention some of those elements, I'll focus on this, and I want to mention a few other things with the blast pit. But they don't have faster than light travel. The Americanii don't. That actually comes. We find out where that came from, and that actually came as a result of the conflict between the Americanii demons and the Empire, or at least what was the origins of the Empire at that time.
That's how they beat them, right? That's how the Empire.
That's how they beat them.
They just showed up way faster than they thought they ever could.
Yep. Yeah. Well, specifically, it was two things, which was one, the Empire knew where the Americanii demons would be, and two, because they had faster than light travel, they could appear in space without being detected,
Mhm.
because now they have the technology to detect when things are going into warp, like they're going into faster light travel, because they can detect the folds in space. But that's only because they know what to look for, right? At like the AI, like they didn't know what to look for, right?
Right.
Because that technology hadn't been invented yet. And so this particular Americani, like a few others, they were designed to basically watch over the ship as it traveled a very, very far distance, because it had human cargo to colonize that planet that they were
Correct. They're
traveling to.
seed ships. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So thanks for pointing that out. And it
Mhm.
also is like, through the conversation with this AI, we discover why humanity and the AI kind of were at odds. Their directive was to protect humanity, and they kind of took that to the extreme. Basically, like they want to stop humanity from getting any kind of disease, right? So what would happen was they get sick, they have to like put them on ice, and then they preserve the human tissue on them by basically giving them cancer. They give them cancerous cells in order to uh, create a false sense of longevity, right? And all the entire time while they're sleeping, they're having dreams of like a perfect world. So they're believing that these humans are in a better place while also using the human tissue and to to be integrated into themselves so that they can be a part of the AI. Therefore, from the AI's perspective, it's giving them eternal life.
Mhm.
They're conquering death itself, the disease of death itself, by integrating them into their own processing power, basically. So they were basically turning humans into batteries, and saying, yeah, they have eternal life. They have an eternity of bliss, but it's all not real. They're basically in the simulation. It's the Matrix,
Yeah.
right? Like it's legitimately just the Matrix, and that is the reason why the Americani and the AI, or that's the kind of like tipping point uh, of the battle of humanity versus the perfect world of the AI that the
Yeah.
AI perceived.
I will say, the whole cancer part lost me a little bit of like, what was the point of that? Like they intentionally were like giving them cancer, so like, what was the point of that?
Mhm.
it was essentially so their cells would keep, they would just keep developing new cells constantly.
That's just
Yeah.
because that's how
Um,
cancer works.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
how cancer. It's just cancer is just essentially unfettered growth,
Okay.
right? And so, cancer always kills us, but in their case, they have a way to like they treat the people like plants. I mean, they're just
Yeah.
constantly like pruning and caring for them, to keep them from dying, and so their cells won't just completely decay and die out. The cancer will keep creating new
Mm.
cancerous cells over and over and over and over again. So as long as we keep taking care of each person's body, they're completely disgusting, right? And
Yeah.
they cannot survive outside the system now because of that. But they won't. Their body will not decay away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Right. Effectively giving them an immortal life, but not real.
Yeah.
To the outside world at least.
Yeah.
And they also what was interesting about this specific AI, it also had information about the Quiet itself, mainly because during its voyage, it was interacted with by them. So they knew of the Quiet's existence, because they knew of its opposing force to its own directive, which was an interesting way to put it. And it kept on trying to like it. What it seemed after Valka kind of cleared its head. So we'll just, I'll just say, it at first it was just like it sounded like it had schizophrenia, right? Like it
Mhm.
kept on, or like dementia, because the cells of the humans that it was using, the processing, was decaying and rotting away, right? For 10,000 years, you can't. It's hard to maintain using organic material, which Valka said, yo, bypass all that organic material, just use your regular computing power for this. And then it came back online with a clear mind, and we saw what the AI looked like whenever it first started. And then with that clear mind, it started answering questions, and it kind of seemed like it was kind of skirting around some answers, but to Hadrian's point, it did answer every question that a human asked it, which was kind of in line with what Hadrian was saying. Is like, these guys can't tell lies, right? Like, they have to tell the truth, or kind of tell as much truth as they're willing to do, sufficient enough to answer the question. Which is kind of like skirting around the answer. But ultimately, we learn about the Quiet from these guys as beings that exist outside of our own dimensional, what we perceive as in our dimensions, right? Because time is part of our we go across time one way, and that is forward. Then there are other things that interact with time different ways. They go backward, or they go, they cut across vertically, and they kind of do some dimensional explaining, right? Like, Ian, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about how it described these other beings, or these creatures.
Yeah, because we have like the Quiet, and then we have like the Watchers as well, which we don't know enough about yet. But yeah, so essentially they're described as like higher dimensional beings. Now the Quiets are different than like some of the other ones, because the Quiet are also described as being each individually unique. And so I will say personally, for me, this reminded me a lot of the way that we talk about divine beings, because inherently a divine being cannot share its nature with another divine being. And so they can be divine, but they have to be divine uniquely so. So there can't be like a speciation of like divinity. And that's kind of how the Quiet are. It's like a series of being, but they're not of the same species. They just all have the same characteristic, which is that they view time backwards and forward simultaneously. If anybody's seen The Arrival, that's a good movie to kind of get some perspective on this element as well. If you haven't seen it, I apologize, but you should have seen it already.
Damn. Great movie though. That's a crier, man. That's a crier.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of interesting, where it's like, so we are sort of stuck to experience time linearly, but these creatures are not stuck in that same fashion. Time to them is like space to us. And so and then the Watchers perhaps have that same power, but there are also beings that, rather than moving forward in time, they can move sideways in time, which sideways in time is described more so as like seeing the possibilities and being able to move across possibilities. Almost like multiverse, but not the same as multiverse, because they don't all exist like in their own threads.
There's only one true. There's only
Yeah.
one true timeline.
There's
quote,
one
unquote.
sacred timeline.
Yeah,
No,
really.
But it's like you will basically get to kind of pick which variation of reality moves forward in a way, or like you get to experience that variation. And so that was kind of neat as well, and I always feel like comes up in this half of the book. But the idea of like running backwards in time, I will say this idea of like four-dimensional being is like not new at all, right? This has been recycled in sci-fi quite a lot. And even so, it's still fun. I still always like encountering it, because it's just a fun idea to play around with, like what is time and how do we perceive it? There's this connection of like, well, because we're three-dimensional beings and we can move through space, right? Like what I'm doing right now, we can move through space. So if it's a four-dimensional being who can perceive time, then they can move through time. Which I always thought was like, I was like, okay, it's basically just the paper and the pencil and the shoving, making a hole again. It's just like, whatever. Like, okay, we'll roll with it. That's not how that really works or makes sense. But like, it's whatever. But this idea of like the Quiet is like almost more interested specifically in going backwards in time, like doing things backwards in time rather than forwards in time. So like a being that can like perceive time, they can like kind of move across time, but they have this like inordinate interest in the past, and we learn a little bit more about that. But I did think that was kind of a cool element of like, well, what if there was a being in the future that could perceive all of time, including their own future, but they were just always obsessed with the past, never the future. Because that's kind of in a way opposite to us. We're always obsessed with the future, right? We're always looking ahead, right? I mean, just generally speaking, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of people reflect on the past, and the older we get, we reflect more on the past. But like, we have to be fewer. Like, we don't live long enough. We have to think about kind of what's coming next, and so we're always trying to like scrap for time and trying to cling to as much time as we can get and things like that. But yeah, for a creature to like have all of time, but always just be looking back, always looking back, I thought that was kind of a cool element.
Well, I do
What'd you-
feel like part of it is kind of reliant on like they're needing to guide Hadrian so that
Mm.
they can therefore like exist basically.
Yep.
So it makes sense. It's not like they're just
Mhm.
like studying something. It's like
Right.
they're very much guiding and
Yep.
and showing him that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which creates an interesting like quandary because we mentioned these two elements of like sideways in time and backwards and forwards in time, like they're different. But then what we do find out later is that for the quiet, it's not. They have both. They can do both. They aren't just looking backward and forward. They can move across time as well. But to your point, Matt, and I know I've been talking maybe a little bit too much, but to
Oh,
your
you're fine.
point, I think that's actually a really important element because that's why they can both try to guide Hadrian towards the events that will lead to them being created, like lead to their eventuality, is because not only can they look back in time, all they have to be is a possible variation of the future. And as long as they're a possible variation of the future, they exist and can
Mhm.
guide the past
Continue to guide.
towards that variation. So the only way they can truly go away is if they cease to be a variation of the future, which is actually what the Americanii were trying to do.
Mhm.
They were trying to make it impossible for the quiet to exist, right? Which is
And that's
again
probably
kind of
that's
fascinating.
kind of why they show him like they show him being like chained up by the Cielson and being like, this is a way that we can continue to exist. Like this is the hard. Basically, they're like, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. That's basically what they presented him with, and they're like, if either you gotta do this way or this is gonna happen, like this is what needs to happen. So you can choose, my dude. But yeah, I don't know if I took away the same exact kind of like lore from you guys. I will say it was a little bit harder for me trying to read it in like a narrative way and focus in on like again, I do think this is part of Rocchio's like storytelling techniques that don't really work for me. It's a little convoluted. But I kept picturing them as like very similar beings, the Watchers and the Quiet, almost like cousins kind of thing. But I just kept picturing I was leaning more like cosmic horror. They're not horrific, but like I kept thinking like Cthulhu, basically like these basically like Cthulhu monsters that are out there. They're just not as evil. Not that Cthulhu is evil, I guess, but I mean he is to us for sure. But kind of this unspeakable thing. And then we learned that the Cielson, they in fact don't worship the Quiet, but they worship the Watchers. And so there's a part of me that was like, so is the Quiet just like one of the Watchers that's kind of been like extradited
Similar.
kind of thing? But yeah,
Similar.
just similar
Similar.
like a cousin kind of thing.
It's very similar. That like what Ian was saying with the like divine creatures. This is kind of they're in the same like category, right?
Yeah.
But specifically the Watchers, the ones that the Cielson worship, are ones that noticed the insignificant creatures like the Cielson. So the being noticed, being recognized by one of these divine creatures is both it's kind of bad for us because we're basically like the plankton in the ocean, right? Like we're a very small plankton in the ocean of the galaxy, and these guys are like freaking whales. You know, like what does a whale even like? Does a whale notice a single plankton? No.
Yeah.
Right. But that's what kind of how the narrative kind of got to me, was just like that's how they notice us.
Yeah. So when the Cielson are like going on these pilgrimages to these temples that we now know are in fact temples of the Quiet, not the Watchers, is that just a mistake in their religion or whatever we want to call it? They are thinking these are temples of the Watchers, but in fact, we know now that they're not. Or do they work? You know, I think that's where it kind of loses me. It's like, well, we have learned already that these guys are going on actual pilgrimages to worship these creatures, but we now know that aren't the same creatures as the one they actually worship. So why are they doing that?
Well, they're not temples to anybody, and they're not even temples to the quiet, right? They're part. We learn eventually through the story, and we're about to get to that, but we'll just go ahead and say it. But it's actually like a waypoint, right? It's more like a machine to get to a certain dimension, right? Like it can basically put you in contact with a divine being.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
forgot that it did say that. Yeah, I guess I just missed that it wasn't specific to a certain divine being.
yeah,
It's like they can all use them, kind of thing.
Well, and the other thing is like, I mean, I would need to go back and reread that part in Empire of Silence, but I think if we were to go back and read, I wonder how much that idea of a pilgrimage would get stressed, because that is, we have to remember that is very much like Hadrian's encounter with, like, first real encounter with the Celsian. And the idea of like a pilgrimage might just be Hadrian's way of trying to understand what is they were doing. But now we actually know that each of those sites was also a location with the highest amount of activity between our current time and the quiet. That's like the Maricani Demon refers to that as like that's where they were talking. And we also have to remember too that when Hadrian was there, he saw a vision. So there might be an element to where the Cielcin are going there because they know from the Watchers that that's where the Quiet are talking, and they're trying to figure out what the Quiet are trying to say.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Because we
that's
learned
very
that
true.
Doriaika is also receiving the same type of visions or whatnot, but specifically from the
Watchers. Yeah.
The Watchers. Okay.
Yeah.
Because in theory, though, it's like if we're thinking about the Quiet as right, they just need to be a potential to exist. To me, the way I viewed it is like when they show Hadrian, like you can go to Berenik or however they pronounced it, and do this, or you're gonna get captured, and all your friends are gonna get captured, and like these are your two paths. Choose one. To me, it's like, right, they don't care about Hadrian so much as they care about their own existence. And to me, this war between humans and Cielcin, it's insignificant to them, as long as they come out. But to me, it's like we now know that there's a path on both sides that lead to their existence. So why wouldn't it be the Quiet also showing Doriaika visions of like, here's the two possibilities. I don't care which you take. Same thing.
So my understanding was that if the Cielcin specifically are more likely to lead to the Quiet not existing. Like the Cielcin actually don't want the Quiet to exist, or at least the Watchers don't, or there's some motivation there. But the Quiet are concerned, right, with the Cielcin because there is if they get what they want, if they terrorize the galaxy, if they move through the galaxy, the Quiet will actually cease to exist. Like both the Maricani demons and the Cielcin both present existential threats to the Quiet. And Hadrian hinted at the fact that the death of the sun might also be tied to the extinction of the Cielcin or the eradication of the Cielcin, and that's what leads to the Quiet coming into existence. So at least right now, it's being framed that the Cielcin are an existential threat to the Quiet, to whichever this being or set of beings is that are being referred to as the Quiet. They're an existential threat to them. We don't know why. But that's how Hadrian seems to understand it right now.
You're saying if the sun gets blown up, the Quiet will not exist?
No, they will. That it's like right now, the way I understood it, and I may have misread, but was that the sun is linked to the near extinction of the Cielcin, and that's what is needed to guarantee the Quiet.
But they're showing him visions of him working with the Cielcin to blow up the sun. That's one of the visions they show him. He's in the ship with Doriaika, and he's like, fire, and
no,
so,
he's not with Doriaika.
Not in this book. There was a confusing vision. No, I don't think it was Doriaika.
It wasn't. It was with Polino or one of his officers that he's just fire at will.
I think they're there too. Well, it's jumping between visions at some point during all that. It's kind of a mess, honestly, which probably intentional. But there's definitely it just seems to me they are showing them they're showing him multiple paths that can lead to their existence. That's how I interpret it as as an easy way or hard way. look, we're gonna at some point they can either take your friends or not. What do you want to do about that? Like, either way, we're fine because it's gonna lead to what we want. But we can kind of guide you by showing you the bad and make you motivated. That's kind of how I took it. But yeah, maybe not. I hope it's not the other way, because it's just like there's already a lot of the agencies being stripped away here by this higher being really guiding. But if there's different paths, at least there's some agency of like, hey, you can do A, B, C, or D. And those are not all equal to you, but they're all equal to us. So you can at least make some choices here. Where if we take that away, it's just like there's A, B, C, or D. B, C, and D, we don't exist, so you got to do A, and we're just gonna make you do A. It just would take a lot of the stakes out of the book for me.
Now,
or
other
things.
paths were hinted at as far as to get the quiet to exist, but Hadrian is quote unquote the shortest path, right? So this is the path that's going to get them there the quickest, right? Quickest relative to, I guess, humans, because
Sure,
you know we exist within time, I guess. But as far as the vision, I think that you're a little bit confused on is that Hadrian during this time, and by the way, we're talking about once we get to the eventual place. We're kind of like skip forward in the book, but once he gets to the place and he kind of understands more about what's going on, he's talking with the Quiet at this point. They're showing him, he's like, no, I'm not going to blow up the star. No, I'm not going to blow up the star. They're showing him the effects of or the potential outcomes of him not blowing up the star, like or him getting captured, right?
Okay.
Like those are just possible futures of directly related to Hadrian himself, right? He gets to see himself as a pet for Doriaika, basically, and you know, paraded around on that whatever dome place is. And he keeps talking about that's what happens at the dome. But the vision that he sees himself making the call is him blowing up the sun. Doriaika is not there not in the ship at that point, but he's just talking with the people in the ship and basically giving the order to fire.
Okay. So it's just they're just showing a branch of this. There's this inciting incident, and here's what happens whether you do this or don't do this.
Correct. And eventually, what Hadrian gets out of all this conversation with the Quiet is they are actually fighting right now. Currently, they are fighting the war of good and evil. Basically, the Watchers want to basically plunge the entire universe into darkness. Like they want to eat they're basically the consumers of everything. And that is what is considered evil. And the divine being of the Quiet are basically fighting that. Which is we can perceive as good. So Hadrian, you know, eventually sums it up to the battle of good versus evil. And this is like the ultimate war, which is what this whole series is about, you know. It was what the Quiet is trying to bring.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of see it's just like with the Watchers and the Quiet, you kind of set up Doriaika and Hadrian as foils, which I think was kind of the main theme I was supposed to carry through the back half, is like they're foils of each other. But then it's also kind of neat that like wedged in the middle of that is the Americani Demon, which now that, you know, to kind of bring it back to that in Space Encounter, we do also find out that from the ship, that one of the reasons why they were integrating people was that they believed that if they could integrate enough people, that they could actually rival the Quiet. And so that was kind of like they viewed the Quiet meddling in their affairs as like another kind of existential threat to what they were doing. And so that incentivized them, right, to try to become more and more and more and more, so that way they could fight against this creature, this being, which is kind of a neat idea. I thought it was kind of a neat idea. And it kind of feeds into that once again, like it feeds into the clear threat that the Americani Demon proposed.
Absolutely, yeah. They were trying to like attain enough power to rival one of those beings, basically, because they knew of
Yeah.
their existence, so
Mhm.
they wanted to get massive enough to combat it.
Mhm. Yeah, I will say also that even now having to cite Americani over and over again after going through this book, now I will say that word just has become quite funny because at first I was like, okay, I get it, but like now it's just like a Americani, it's just American demon. So it's like so much more present because like we went through like the whole
Uh,
presidents thing and everything. It's
Yeah,
just, like
yeah.
it literally is just a play on the word American.
yeah.
But so it's just kind of funny.
Well, let's quickly, if we can, I guess, go through the whole the vision, the spiritual walk or whatever we want to call it, and get to Baronite, because I feel like
Yep.
we'll probably spend a good chunk on Baronite. That's about a good chunk of this part. So
Berenike, yeah, the Battle of
Berenike.
Berenike.
Mhm.
Yep. So we end up the Americanii shows on a map a point of where the most activity was. They go to this planet. She names it Metallica. They go and basically she named it like after her favorite band, which I just
Wait,
just
wait,
say.
yeah,
Christopher
yeah.
Rockdale gets sued because aren't they like very like litigious?
Isn't it like Annika or something?
Yeah,
Anakin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Annika.
Yeah,
Annika.
Anakin. Is it we dip it in another IP?
I thought we were.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, anyway, so they don't find anything for a while. They get a summons while at this place um because we get news of a Cielson attack, a targeted attack to a very critical port to their current hold on one of their the rim of the galaxy that they control basically. Um and they lose it to Doriaika, and so they have to basically gather to this Berenike, a summons to Berenike, which was the old port before they had the port that was destroyed, which I forgot what the name of the ones that was destroyed. What was does anybody any of you guys remember the name of it? Uh, well, it doesn't matter. Um, but Hadrian's like, look, they still think that we're not at the library. Just tell them that we're at the library. And there's a couple people there that are like, hey, there's our homes. Our homes are there. It's ludicrous to stay here, basically digging around in dirt because they didn't truly believe in Hadrian. But it ends up they make a compromise thanks to Octavia, and they agree to stay for 5 years. A couple years go into it. Hadrian gets sucked into this spiritual palace place eventually because he has to be by himself. And then he goes on a equivalent of the Christian faith's 40 days without food or water, right? Like the fast that that happens. So he's been gone for 40 days. He finds out eventually when he comes out of everything. Um, so but it feels to him like what, like 3 days? He really
Yeah, like
realistically
nothing.
without food.
Yeah.
He basically goes through this whole climb because he's kind of forced to. He kind of drawn to this place, drawn to this peak of this mountain. So through exhaustion, he pulls his body somehow miraculously to this peak, where basically he doesn't see anything at first. He passes out. Eventually, he's able to get in contact with the quiet, and that's where he learns how they function, which is like Ian was saying before, choosing a specific timeline to be the true timeline that goes forward. So he kind of for a split second it like exists outside of time, can see all the potential possibilities that are available to him in that split second, and then say this is the one that I choose to be the true outcome, which is kind of like the impossible thing happens whenever I flip a penny and it lands in between my keyboard the exact right thing between the whatever, and
Wait,
it just
between which
happens
keys?
instantly. I don't know, the J and the U.
Oh, not the J and the U.
Not the UJ.
No.
No. But that is basically what the quiet teaches him how to do eventually. And I think what they ask him to do is quote unquote listen, which he ends up interpreting it however he interprets it, but that's the eventual superpower that he comes out of this place with. Does
And
anybody else
it's
have
kind of
anything
more
to
like
add?
yeah, to me it read kind of like he saw it's more it was kind of like a Schrodinger's cat kind of thing of like all of these things are simultaneously happening. So when like he chooses a path, like let's say which the way he like envisioned it was when he was killed by Aranata. It's like, well, this other Hadrian basically like saw that and like stepped into his life essentially of like choosing that path, and it's like all these other Hadrians did die in that moment, but this one kind of stepped in and took over. So it's like there are still other timelines that like coexist, and it's not like these paths close. It's like these other paths continue, and he's like it's like lanes of a highway, and he's just like playing like almost like Frogger or something to keep going. So some of these other ones end prematurely, and he's just hopping into ones that keep going till he reaches the path. That's how I interpret it, anyways, because it's always like him. It's like him stepping. He's like, "How many Hadrians died when I chose this or whatever," kind of things like that.
Yeah, I think that is more like fanciful language because there were two things. So he did expressly mention the idea that other variations don't have the conditions to occur. So basically, this idea of like if you imagine like multiple highways, the problem is that in this like idea of there being multiple highways, all but your highway doesn't have a beginning. Like it doesn't have like an off ramp to get to the highway, so the highway like can't exist. But if you think about it as like in this point of time, there are all these branching possibilities based off of whatever this event is. And basically the only thing that's stopping any of these possibilities is just the choice choice. But in this case, it's like we're rolling a d6. It's just which only one of these can occur because the die must have a singular value. And so he just gets to pick which value it is. But then once he does, the other ones cease to exist because they no longer have like the conditions.
Yeah,
And
that's like way less exciting for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but like and like that could be overthinking it or focusing too much on like one aspect of it because it's still a story. But with the Hadrian thing, the way that I took that was actually the quiet doing it for him, not like another Hadrian doing it. And so there's a variation. This is why his arms have been switched. So we now get the explanation for that. The reason why his arms have been switched is because there's a variation where Hadrian survives the battle because he does something, right, to get away from that sword strike, and he lost the other arm, allowing him to continue that fight. And then ultimately kill or at least survive that particular slice, right? Is like he survives that attack that doesn't kill him because he lost the other arm.
But isn't that was able to get Hadrian? Like
it's one of the variations. It's a variation of Hadrian where he chose a different action or a different reaction to the oh my gosh, I can Arenica. I'm trying to
Aranata.
I'm struggling with names today. But with Aranata, so it's just like there's a Hadrian with all these variations of how he decides to react to that blow. And one of those variations was him where he sacrifices his other arm, right, instead of, and he doesn't lose his right arm in his head, and is able to survive, and then is able to act. There's still weirdness, right? Like it still doesn't totally make sense because the only reason he can kill Aranata is because Aranata is surprised by the fact that Hadrian died before him and is now back up. So it's not like that other Hadrian killed Aranata. It's just that other Hadrian survived the attack by sacrificing a different arm.
So
But-
you think it's him just being more dramatic because at some point he's like, I'm not the same Hadrian. Basically, he's like, I am
Yep.
that Hadrian.
Yeah, no.
Well, I
Exactly.
take that as being him dramatic. Is like, well, but because like I made a choice in that moment. Like my body reacted. I did a thing. But yes, there were all these variations of me that had different reactions, different chemistry, whatever, and made different decisions. There's all these variations of what could have happened, but that was my variation that I originally went with. But now I get to change it after the fact, or the quiet did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the idea of like when you're playing a board game and you have a choice between three things, and so you pick one on a gut instinct, and then you think about it in your head, you're like, no, I should have picked the other one. It's like, well, if you could have rewound and played it forward, is that still the same you now playing it forward? That's essentially the question.
Like
he's
once the
posing.
branch happens, it's
Yeah.
like in theory, it's like a different one. Yeah.
Yeah, and specifically with the Aranata killing of Hadrian, like, and the Quiet stepping in, that is for sure the Quiet actually doing it.
Yeah.
Because they have some kind of access to this power that Hadrian does not have access to everything about it, right? Because in their instance, when they resurrected him, when they put that Hadrian out, there was still a limb of the old Hadrian. There was still a sword. Sir Lorvin's sword was still there. There were two swords. Aranata had it, and Hadrian had it. So, and there's still potentially, like, I don't know what happened to Aranata's sword after he died.
I thought they gave he gave it to somebody.
No, Sir Lawrence's sword was there were definitely two of Sir Lawrence's swords and we haven't seen or heard about what happened to the second, or the first one, I guess. The one that
I don't remember, because I know he has like a ring from Aranata, right?
Yes, he does have the ring.
Yeah, but I don't remember about the sword.
Right, or the other Sir Lawrence sword. So I know he kicked the arm in the lake on Vorgos, or on the Demiurge. But as far as
it's interesting though, right? Because that's like, to me, it makes me feel like there are these other coexisting timelines of like
the Quiet has access to something that we don't know yet. Like that's something that hasn't been explained to us.
Yeah. I just want to clarify, it is like different than the way, for example, like Marvel would present, because like in Marvel's like multiverse with like all the parallel highways, they're all like independent timelines where anything can happen in those, right? And that's like why Spider-Man can have a completely different name or appearance or set of abilities. But like in this presentation, they're always like linked. So even if there are all these Hadrians, all of those Hadrians have to have everything in common up to the exact moment we're in right now.
Yeah.
And so
but that's how I view it, right? It's right, because the Quiet are choosing, they're always continuously choosing the path that will lead to their existence. So like, let's pretend for a second the Big Bang was what started everything. And there are infinite Big Bangs, and everything's been leading to this, right? We are on this one that we just get the point of view of, like, there are all these other ones that ended prematurely, and we are just on, so all of them are always going forward, but all these other ones have premature ends that don't lead to the Quiet, and so we kind of slowly remove these ones. That's kind of how I'm viewing it.
But you won't get like a Hadrian that never met Valka, or like a Hadrian that it's just like like the Hadrian that came in Aranata was one decision point different than the Hadrian that died, and that was it. And that's always how it is. Hadrian is, every time he moves, he's just one decision point different. And that's it. Never like whole differences in major events or story arcs or things like that. It's always just like one point of difference. At least that's how it's presented right now, right? I mean, we don't know how it might go in the future. But like, that's very different than like Marvel Multiverse, which I think a lot of people are really familiar with now because we've been beat over the head with it. But I just
I don't necessarily view it like I don't think I view it like that. I view it as like copy and pasting of these timelines, but when Hadrian makes a decision, some of these cease to exist, and only in all the ones where he made the decision to lead to the Quiet are they continuing on. And slowly they start to whittle away or something. I guess at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter. There's something the Quiet knows.
it's an interpretation of a superpower. He gets to choose to live basically every time
Mhm.
that he has access to it. We learn from the future events that he has to be in a certain mental zone for this ability to be repeated. He can't be under like incredible stress. He has to kind of be in like a kind of like the zone in
Yeah, it
order
could be
for
in a
him
flow
to
state.
choose it. Yeah, the
Mhm.
flow state basically, essentially.
Mhm.
So whenever he goes up and talks to the Quiet, he also learns that Doriak is on the move, right? Like Doriak knew and was targeting Berenike to be his next target because he's trying to catch a wide net, like he's trying to catch all of the humans in one spot, and deal an incredible blow to humanity, right? So that he knew that they were going to gather at Berenike, and he had ships there waiting in just outside of their radar range or whatever it is, their detectable range for years in the past, right? Like he had planned for this
Mhm.
to happen, which is kind of hard for anybody to believe. But he ends up as soon as he gets back, he's
Including
like,
us, the readers.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's kind of like this, like, you kind of have to like believe like multiple facts simultaneously. It's like, well, because they use like worlds as ships or like rocks as ships, it's like they can hide out in the
Yeah.
background as like a giant rock. And then the other one you get to believe is like apparently they do missions out there and like they have had ships go missing, but it's just like acceptable loss, so they never followed up on it.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you just kind of have to
Mhm.
take what they
Yeah.
give us, the
Well,
information.
well, you
The
guys
giant floating rock is
remind
killing
me-
everybody.
Yeah. Oh no. So what is the
Did that
like?
ship just disappear?
There's like a point where like he feels like conflicted on maybe going there, but then when he decides to go there, it almost seems like he's gonna try and like he's got this plan to get like the jump on him or something like that. And like what
Yep.
is that? If like they've been hiding out there, like what is what he's just trying to get there before they do? That's it. But in reality, they've just been there.
No,
He
he's trying to
needs-
get there before the main force gets there.
Mhm.
The basically the forces that are hiding out are the 1-2 punch. So Daryak, God, again names. But the Prince of Princes is going to show up,
Mhm.
and he is going to present a pretty substantial force, and that's going to force our the Empire, right, into engagement, and then they're going to get pincered from the side. That's the idea. Once once the Empire is committed to the engagement, then this group is going to activate and attack them and pincer them and destroy
Isn't
them in
like
space.
that pretty much exactly what happens.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it's
Kinda.
pretty similar to what happens. The problem here is that what happens is that the force is so much greater than what they had originally expected. And then is it Hotman or Hotman? I can't remember.
Hotman,
yeah, Titus.
Hotman? No.
The Hot
So
Man.
Hotman, he made a crucial mistake because and you can talk about a lot of different things, but basically since they changed their tactics and didn't actually go to engage, but were rather trying to hold a line, he grouped the ships up way too close, and then the Prince of Princes like suicided one of his ships into them, causing a chain reaction. So they actually could have held out.
They could have.
Yeah, but he made that very strategic error, and which then cost that fleet. But as far as like what you're going on though about is the funny thing is they're like, there's this ship hiding out that's going to pincer us. So what we're going to do is we're going to send our ships further out. So when they pincer us, we'll pincer them.
Classic, like the guys in the church pews. They're sniping the gun in the back, the gun in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But Hadrian does act really surprised when they're just like, this is just the vanguard, right?
Yep.
And he's just like, what?
It's so much bigger.
But like,
than what
wouldn't?
they
Yeah,
expected.
okay. So it's like he
Yeah.
thought
It's
he
like
knew, and he thought he
16
was.
It's like 1,600 ships or something like that. It's like a massive force of skeleton, like nothing that the Empire has ever encountered, like a scale magnitudes like multiple factors larger than anything they've ever encountered
But
before.
like the Quiet had shown him that he needed to go there. So
No,
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 the Quiet
no,
didn't
no.
want. They don't want the Quiet don't want him to go there at this time.
Yep.
They say
Oh,
they say
okay,
that
okay.
it's possible for them to exist, but they are not sure how. Like they don't know
okay.
how to guide him, so he's going to be on his own. It's essentially Dagobah from Star Wars. It's like you can go to save your friends, but I don't know what's going to happen if you do. But more in Yoda's speech, or in this case, Quiet speech.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I wanted
they're
to
not
point
trying
out
to send
too.
him there.
Is that the Quiet did not want Hadrian to go there in the first place. Hadrian basically bargained with them. Is just like, because the Quiet want to kind of like interact with Hadrian on like, you know, help guide him through to the best possible chance of their existence, right? But Hadrian's like, no, I gotta go back. I gotta save those people. If there's a chance I can do it, I can do it. And basically promises them like, hey, I'll find the way. Like I know how to do this thing that you taught me. And the Quiet's like, yeah, we can't talk to you directly, basically as direct as this anymore, because you know what Ian says, like they don't know the right path, the path that gets them to be able to exist yet, which kind of like hinders their communication with Hadrian if he chooses this path. But they ended up letting him go, and that's why he goes back. And everybody's like kind of happy. He's like, well, I could have told you that. We should have gone back.
Yeah.
But at least Hadrian. But he does pull off a cool stunt in front of his entire crew.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and tell him what happens, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, Duran, I think is his name.
Yep. He's like
which,
the first officer.
by the way, there's also now someone named Doran. There's two people who just showed up. Doran,
Duran, and Dorn.
Yeah, Doran just showed up halfway through this book and then became like really important, I guess, until he stopped showing up again, which is I thought hilarious. But anyways, yeah, Duran is basically just like, because I think he was one of the ones that was like, I don't want to stay, I want to go immediately.
Yeah, he's a Norman,
which he normally doesn't say anything. Basically.
Yeah,
he's a Norman, and that's what the Yeltsin are going to attack is the last stronghold defending the Norman worlds. So if it falls, all of the Norman worlds fall, and that's like Octavio's Norman. He's Norman. A lot of the crew is Norman. So,
and yeah, so he basically wants like he's not happy with Hadrian, and Hadrian basically to prove who he is or whatever shoots himself
to make him believe in him.
Because I can't remember who has not seen the footage. Some people have seen the footage. Some people have not seen the footage of him dying, but even I think people that have seen it are still like, yeah, AI. But basically, like he like kills himself. He takes a blaster and like shoots himself right in the heart through the heart.
Yeah, like he uses like Duran's finger to do it because that's like the trick. Because there's like a variation where Duran pulls the gun away. And so that's a variation where Hadrian lives. And so he like fires the gun, but then moves to that variation where he's the Hadrian where Duran pulled the gun away, but the gun has been fired, so the bullet like hits the back. Yeah. Again, yeah.
Which is just
anyway,
like,
I'll stop talking.
Are we doing that in a spaceship?
No, I got you.
We're doing that in a spaceship. You're shooting a gun in a spaceship, but all right.
Well, it's a specific kind of gun, which is why Hadrian said, "Hey, this is the perfect gun for this. It's not going to like disrupt."
Yeah.
Because it basically shoots it, and it like a what is it, titanium round? It's like a metal rod that it gets shot from like this pistol, which isn't Norman like standard for him to have it, but it's pretty
perfect
dope.
for this timing, perfect for this showcase, which is fine. You know, I found it to be like okay. I mean. I do have problems with it later because this happens again with Alexander. I think Alexander throughout this entire part has really struggled with Hadrian, and Hadrian is just absolutely refusing to throw this guy a bone. He's like, I want to believe in you, but like he's clearly struggling in my opinion, the exact same way that Durand is. But he's willing to do this for Durand, his whole crew. But then Alexander's like, can you show me? And he's like, no. I'm not going to show you because I don't want to. And then it just feels like more of like a setup for like Alexander's never going to, you know, there's this feud that's growing between them. I can't picture a reason why he wouldn't do that for Alexander. Maybe you guys read into that more than I did, But it just became frustrating for me of like, dude, you're going to pull off this stunt in front of your whole crew because one guy doesn't believe you, but then one very important guy, like extremely important, arguably way more important than Duran, doesn't believe you, and all you have to do is this exact same thing. And then you just sort of
No.
like, no?
It's because Hadrian believes, and he's proven right in this case, that no matter what he shows Alexander, it's not the fact that Alexander doesn't believe it. It's that Alexander will always consider him a threat to his family's throne, no matter what. Like even if he shows him a million times, he's not gonna be able to be persuaded, no matter how many messianic miracles he gives Alexander.
But he gave 0. To me,
Was Alexander on ice during this time?
No.
I don't know, but they do show him the video previous, and he's
Yeah.
like, I seen it, but
And
like
he might have actually been on the bridge during that event too. I can't remember.
I know
I
he
don't
wasn't.
remember
He
if he
wasn't for
was.
that. No,
Okay.
he didn't see him do that in front of him. He's only seen it happen in video, and wants to see it in person
until the last chapter. But yeah,
until the last chapter. Yeah, until the last
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I see what you're saying. But it still becomes a little frustrating of like Hadrian is wanting to, it feels like withhold that information, even before he knows he has this power, with him dying to Aranata, things like that. He does not want it to grow. Really, he's kind of against that. And then just Duran, who, and maybe this is like a character building issue. I know Duran is like part of the crew, and he's like an important part of the crew, but I really only know that because Christopher Rocchio is like, he's important, he's here, you see his name more than a lot of the other characters, so therefore important, and like kind of just been in the background until he needs to be like, hey Hadrian, why I don't like that, you gotta prove it to me. And then Hadrian's like, all right, I'll do it because you're one of my bros, you're one of my best bros, we've known each other for hundreds of years, I gotta prove my loyalty to you. So
Well,
I don't know. It just
It's-
became like
it's-
a frustrating
Okay,
thing with Hadrian of like,
Yeah.
I get it from the whole Empire perspective of like, you're not going to find, and I am excited to see how like we handle that going forward after this event that's like been at the end of the book we're about to talk about. But yeah, I almost would have preferred if like the thing happens in the event and then Alexander wants to see it in person, like one-on-one, to make sure it wasn't some kind of weird thing, and then Hadrian is like no, or something like that, to where it just feels it's like right after the Duran thing. It's like right on the way there. He's like, show me, can you show me? Like I basically he has the conversation with him and Valken, and eventually Valken's like, show him the video. We've got it. Show it to him. And then they do, and then a little more time passes, and then he's like, look, I gotta know. I want to believe. I gotta know. I want, And Hadrian says, no, I'm not going to.
well, he does end up showing them. Just saying,
Not the video,
but he doesn't. He doesn't know it. No, not the video. He shows him the power, but he doesn't know that he actually did show him. He uses the power. No, not even at the end. During their conversation on Berenike, whenever he confronts him and makes him kneel, he shows him. But doesn't doesn't really show him, but he uses the power to basically break his hand. He broke his hand on his chin because he chose the instance where the prince would break his hand on his face, basically, after he struck him.
So it was like, he is using it and then just not.
Yeah, that is kind of like a flaunt in the face of what you're saying. Like, I'm not gonna really show you, but I'll do this.
I'm with both of you. I would say this is one of the characters where I fell, again, when I was talking about my critique, like this is one of those story arcs I think fell flat because the breadcrumbs are there. I just don't think it was pieced together as well. I really don't think like the story arc with the prince is about whether or not he believes in the miracles, right, or believes in the power. I think the story arc with the prince is a lot more about, can the house of the emperor accept Hadrian? And so, the first time I would have liked to have seen it if like the first time they were confronted, it's a lot more focused on Hadrian doesn't know if he can do it again, right? Because he doesn't have the power yet. And then on the next instances, it would be a lot more about like, well, now I do have it, I do know how to use it, but that's just gonna make me an enemy, right? Better to like live in this lukewarm area than to be declared like the devil, like truly like the devil of the empire. I think that would have made for a better story arc for the prince of like kind of caught between a rock and a hard place rather than kind of being in this like you said, Matt, like weirdest area where it's like, no, I will show some but not show you, and it didn't quite come off right for me. And then also like the prince's refutation of Hadrian's plan to stay, I thought was really misplaced. Like the Normans, it makes sense, that's their home. But, like what the hell does the prince care? But he's like, no, we gotta go. Like he just feels like he's been maybe a little cooped up. But like they literally say, like we could stay here for 5 years and we would still get there early. And the prince is like, no, you're making a huge mistake. It's like what's being there earlier gonna do for us, right?
Yeah.
Like better to be here in this singular moment doing something we can where we can never come back and still be early, like then just be earlier, like. And so
Yeah, that was a really weak point for me.
yeah,
I
so
feel like
that was a kind of
Alexander
weird
has
moment.
felt the most like manufactured plot device character for me. Because I
Mm.
think we all Hadrian straight up tells us where that's going to end up, right? And then
Yeah.
I think this is one of the times where that kind of bites it in the butt. Where of like I don't mind when authors do that of like. Right, with Basander Lin, I'm still on board. I can see, I like where Basander Lin's going. I can kind of see this realistic path where Alexander just shows up. We're told that he's going to be the one that calls for his arrest. And then all of these events throughout this book of like the turmoil between them feels just really like manufactured to me. To where, yeah, I agree. By the end of this book, I'm just like, he was there throughout. He was there. He's kind of just like the Switch replacement, in my opinion, for a little bit. Obviously, with bigger ties.
No,
Um,
I think this is Christopher Rocchio going back and kind of like writing in like, okay, so the prince has to be with them so we can kind of develop him into we're trying to show you the reason why the prince got to the point where he eventually exiles Hadrian, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Like that's it's kind of like,
But, like,
okay,
make
so
it
he's got to
believable.
show up in these things, and then eventually he gets to the point where he dislikes Hadrian so much, or he thinks him such a threat. But I agree, it didn't feel very like fluid. Like it was just like Prince, like ever since Hadrian took the prince, it doesn't feel like the prince was very happy to be there, right? Like
Or
because
just
he
present,
wanted to go,
yeah.
he asked.
Yeah.
He asked to go with him.
They like made up.
Like
yeah.
yeah, he asked to go with him. He went to the library with them. He got the tutoring from Tor Gibson, and then all of a sudden he's just a jerk, like because
Yeah.
he thinks that Hadrian is it. Like, does he not know Hadrian at all at that point? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's also just a
Which-
more believable way to write that. Like, I could totally buy in, like, Ian, if you died on camera and then you're like, I'm back, baby. I'd be like, what the hell? Like, it would, I can understand there's some, like, internal struggle with the prince, but give me, like, he's only on the page for this. He shows up every 100 pages to be like, I'm the grumpy prince. And don't forget, I'm going to call for the arrest of Hadrian. And then I'm going to disappear again until that is relevant again. And I think that is less the prince and more of like any character that's not Hadrian or Valka. I mean, I will say, to Rocchio's credit, I do like Valka a lot more in this book. I would say I actively like Valka now, but beyond them, and like I like Lorien, but I still don't feel like I know Lorien, but I like him as a character. But really,
no, I like Lorien and the way that he's been developed. But as far as the prince, he definitely feels very weakly developed. I don't see it very clearly why he got to the point where he is.
I mean, outside of the duo, it's just like Polino and Lorien that have like any
and even
potential at
Polino,
all.
it's like I feel like Polino and Lorien are like they are still the most, but still a
Mhm.
big step down for me from like Hadrian
Yeah.
and Valka when we have these glimpses of like, and this is like the carrot dangling for me, and he does it for a lot of different aspects, but this is one of them. It was like we had that scene of them sitting around watching the movies. We had that scene
Right.
of them on the beach, and like there's these glimpses of like, ooh, I'm getting a little bit more of this character. I've gotten one section of 3 pages where I'm like, I think maybe I'm gonna like this character, and then they will literally not be on the page for 100 pages, and it's just like it's really hard for me to be invested in that. And I think it's just these expectations of like, right, I can see a world, a story, a really good story where the prince is a more nuanced character and he's on the page a lot, and we have this struggle back and forth between them. But instead of that, Rockio he'll take the like it's so like conflicting with his writing style, because his writing style is so profound, it's so deep. But then really his storytelling is very like surface level, I feel like, of like, no, we're just gonna go the vanilla path of like, no, he's bad. This whole story, good versus bad. Oh, and we can move to Berenike here,
Mhm.
because like this is where I was like, finally, he's gonna end up with the Cielson, baby. Thank goodness, because this is really exciting, because it's not just like good guy, bad guy. Nope. Like we've got the vision of him being like chained up on the ship, and I was like, wow, this book is gonna end with him being taken. And
Yeah,
this
he
is gonna
drops
get
the bomb that he's the only one to be on the ship and come back, right? Like,
yeah, and I was like, wow, this is gonna be exciting. You know, maybe it's not gonna be exactly like that vision. Maybe he'll be able to change it to where only he gets taken or something, to where this book is gonna end on like, I gotta know what happens, and now I'm really interested. Versus like, I would say, while the ending is cool, right? The cool factor is there, like this big moment, it's cool. But as far as the storytelling, it's like he needs to take his own writing advice, and like he's got all of these paths before him, and it's like interesting, not that interesting, but cool. And he's like, that's the one. That's the
it could
one.
be the most interesting to the more of the audience. Who knows?
That's true. It
You
just is so. It's so like, I don't know. I just am for me. Yeah, you're right. It is just for. That's why I was saying it's more of like a personal expectation of, like, wow, we have 4 more books of this, and like we've kind of now mirrored what he's done already in this book again, but then previously in Howling Dark he did it as well. We're like, when are we gonna do something a little bit new and exciting? Like he still could do that. He could be captured and they try and kill him, right? They're torturing him, they try and kill him, and he won't die or something. Like there's still ways to have this cool factor, just with a little bit more nuance of than just 100. And I looked, because I will say this is my least favorite part, the Battle of Berenike. I thought it was extremely way too long. It's 150 pages, which is a lot. And I think one could have been told shorter. There are some cool factors, but as far as like the outcome of what happens, I feel like I could really sum it up in like 2 to 3 sentences what really happens on this battle. And
Do it.
All right, they arrive.
Sum up the Battle of Berenike. Matt's
The Battle of
condensed
Berenike.
version.
They hole up. They hole up in this storm wall, and then the Cielson come, and they're about to break in when Hadrian is about to surrender, which, by the way, also unrealistic in my opinion, of Doriaca to accept his like, well, we're about to win. You're about to kill us all, and I know that, but wait, hear me out, please. You can take me. Just spare everyone else. And I know they go into that of like why he would do that, but I didn't believe it. I think he would just kill them. This totally evil dude is just like, yeah, I will. I'll let everybody else live. Anyways, then he goes to Space Laser Hadrian, who Hadrian just like chooses the path where it doesn't hit him. And then that's it, pretty much. That's pretty much it. There's a big battle.
They got wrecked.
They got wrecked. No,
Yeah.
no. It's a little bit more than that.
It's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. So basically, my condensed version is there's a massive force. They end up coming. It's way bigger than what they expected. They learn that the entire fleet up above got the annihilation because they suicided one of the ships. So they have no defense from the incoming fleet. Siege towers start dropping, drop, on the battlefield. They're forced to retreat. This massive giant, one of the generals, shows up and is a terror.
Booty.
His name is
Bahooty.
Bahuda.
I think that's the
Bahude.
art that Matt has.
Yes, and that is the art that Matt has on the book. If you wanted to just go ahead and present that real quick.
I don't think it is personally, but
Okay,
No,
well,
I think it has to be that
he's
one,
too
'cause
big.
That's the one that
It's
has.
too big.
we're gonna have to talk about the art at a separate point right now because we always have a section where we just talk about the art.
This
But-
dude's too big, and it looks nothing like a baby. They're saying this
Yes, it is described as a baby.
a baby, very
but,
infant-like.
right. So
And
then
this
there's
is by
a battle.
men too, so it's not like there's like Cielson babies that look like this or something. This is like a man. Like, did that thing look like a baby to anyone else? Like, it's supposed to look like a baby, kind of like crawling around with like a cyclops eye. That's how it was described, in my opinion. And then I saw that.
I thought
huh?
it's the one that I thought it was the one, or is that the other one that grew to the height of the wall? I thought it was that one, or is it the other one? Because there's two.
There's two.
different
The
ones.
other one is like a tank. It's on like those track wheels.
Yeah.
With
I
a
thought it was
drill
this
sticking
one.
out. So to
But
me, like,
isn't this the
it's
one that
neither.
chases them into the bunker?
Into the bunker.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the one with the Cyclops eye is the one that's like
They go
attacking
into
them.
the tank. There's like a big
No.
tank.
No,
moving
you guys are
towards the
talking
wall.
about two different
Oh,
points
okay,
of the
okay.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like he's like because they have like they have their own guns like atop the wall,
Uh-huh.
and they're trying to go up the wall basically to well I mean the way at first it's presented is like we need to defend those guns, and he like even has the flyers go up there, right? That's where they're posted.
Uh-huh.
But they're like going up, and part of that's because they're being like chased, right? Like they're fighting the Cielson and they're losing.
Mhm.
But as they go up, it grows to meet them and
I thought
gets
it was
larger and
climbing
larger.
the wall.
No, it's like Attack on Titan, like it's like growing like to 100 feet.
I
yeah.
totally missed that.
Yeah, like a
That's
true
whenever
Cyclops.
they talk to each other for the first time, right? Like he's like, "Oh, you're so small." Like that's the first communication between Bahude and Hadrian at that point.
Because Bahude is small enough to where it's inside the tank with them. They're all inside of this tank. That thing, I mean, the tank it's smaller than the wall. The whole point of the tank is it's gonna blow up the wall. Like it gets there and then it blows itself up, destroys the wall.
No, the
it's got like
tank
a
is
bomb in
for
it.
no. The tank is for the drill. The tank is containing the drill to drill into the wall. It's an ancient drilling device.
The hydraulic.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
hydraulic drill.
But
So
gotta be
what they want to
smaller
do-
than the wall.
What they want to do, well, it's a massive drill. I don't know. No, this tank is pretty massive.
Think
from
like
what I-
Avatar: The Last Airbender, like giant freaking drill gonna
Yeah,
go through the wall, like
But through
larger than a
it's still
house.
through the wall. It's not taller than the wall. But this Bahude guy
no.
is inside of this drill with a ton of room still. They're all like fighting in it. To where like I imagine he's the same size as the last guy they fought, Yubalu. A little bit bigger. I think he says he's
yeah,
bigger,
so-
but not like massively bigger.
Yeah. But the when they're fighting inside the drill, that's also when they encounter the extra Solarian, right?
Yes.
Who like they cut off their head.
yes.
I'm talking about a different scene. I'm not talking about that scene. So I'm struggling with names today, but I'm not talking about that scene. I'm talking about the scene where they're fighting on the wall and they're getting their asses kicked
Uh-huh.
and people are getting crushed left and right, and like literally the hand comes forward and knocks a whole bunch of guys off the wall.
Yeah.
That was one of the extra Solarian Cielson who like grows to the height of the wall and is like crushing the wall as they go up and like stomping on people and knocking them over, and then the flyers from the top of the wall have to come down to help them. That's that scene. That's what I think is a rendition of that. And that's when I was talking about the bunker, they get chased to. That's when Hadrian goes to meet up with Lorien and they hide out. They like seal everything off and they hide out. that was the creature that chased them in, and they like narrowly escape it. And then it's like I think it like at one point like looks at them, like trying to find them.
Yeah,
And, like,
I
they
don't
know it's
remember.
out there.
Honestly, to
Yeah.
me, like
It's a mess. To Matt's point, it is a lot of kind of like non-important things happening, right? Like it's just it doesn't move the plot forward going through this battle, scene by scene. But I can understand where Christopher Rocchio is. Like each scene does have significance to the battle itself, but it doesn't really.
To me, it's just like all this time we spend on this confusing shit. Just lock in on a scene and give it to me clear. Like it's just the classic Rocchio where he's saying so much of like when he's like describing the city to me. I was like, dude, what are you trying to say? Like I can kind of picture it. Every time he describes something, I was like, I can kind of picture it. Where other authors, I'm like, I'm there. I'm here in this city. I can picture the battlefield exactly as it is. Where I feel like with Rocchio, and it could just be because I'm focusing on reading it aloud and keeping pace rather than stopping and being like, let me think about what that looks like. It just is so like convoluted of what's happening that when it gets down to the nitty gritty of like what's happening, I can't focus in on it because there's so much fluff. And that's just like consistent with Rocchio's writing in general, but that's why I think like these major scenes of this battle are all cool, all of them. With Behuti, when they're underground in like the subway tunnel and they're bringing like the bomb in, that's
right.
cool.
That's the next part.
That's cool. All the landing things landing and the Nahute, all of it's cool on paper. But it's like every time something cool starts to happen, it just becomes like a convoluted mess for me. Like,
and I did double check. It was confirmed that is Behude in that art.
Behude is referred to me.
Behude is referred to as the giant of the Viaden. Yeah, he's the largest.
So are there two Viaden in this battle?
There are.
No.
No, I'm pretty sure there was.
I thought there was only one, and it was Behude.
No.
Yeah, there's Behude, but there's another Cielsen. Maybe that wasn't a general, but there was another extra.
It's not a general.
Yeah, it's not a general because a Viaden is a general. Right?
So he's just way bigger, way more badass, way cooler, way stronger, but he's less important than Behude.
Well, no.
What?
Well,
no.
The one in the art is Behude.
Oh,
he is the giant among Viaden.
So what's up with the baby stuff?
I think he was using it to describe what it looked like when he was maneuvering. And I think that is where he uses it's like a baby crawling through because he dwarfed the area around him basically. And he's like trying to like pry through like an archway, like this massive archway, and he's like coming through the archway and he's describing him like a baby.
But this is like the soldiers say it to each other. Like, anyone see that thing? It look like a baby. Like, I don't know, like in the middle of war, you're like, wow, you know what that looked like? A birthed baby.
Yeah, look up the word baby, and then you'll kind of like see like, oh, that's what he actually meant. But it will. Like I know what part you're talking about.
If I Google baby,
I'll have to go back and check it.
No.
That is definitely Behude. That's been confirmed that is Behude. That's him at his full height.
So where's the single eye?
No. He had one eye because of the destruction of the other, like the birds and everything that was shooting and attacking him. They wounded him so much that one of his eyes, like stopped functioning, and that's why. Something with a B.
Behude.
What is the Iktani's name?
Barga or something? Bartha?
No.
It's like Barga.
He made a sacrifice, basically say, I'm gonna take the other eye, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's like, see it done, and then that's what basically sealed his fate because he took out the other eye, but it didn't matter, basically.
Yeah. Man, I just think he did a terrible job of describing this thing. Then, in my opinion, okay,
yeah, I get you.
I especially with I don't know. And then they're inside a thing, like,
they're inside a tank, and he's still existing inside the same tank. I understand what you're saying. Like the references, like as far as like how big something is is very convoluted in this
Yeah.
one.
Because I knew the tank
But
was like there's big enough, like I almost viewed it like a hangar of a starship kind of thing. Of like there was room for them to move around multiple, stories. They were moving around and stuff, but like that thing's
it's a massive
huge.
tank.
Like that.
Yeah, it's a massive tank. Yeah,
Gigantic.
yeah, but so is the what they refer to as colossi. Is the
Yes.
same. It's basically on par with the size of this tank.
Mm-hmm.
The colossi and the tank are kind of like on par, which is like several stories. Like it's so high, it's like almost unbelievably high that the Empire was like, oh, do we even really need to create these things? Like, what's the plausibility of having these things? But they ended up being like probably the only reason why they like as many people survived as they did.
Why did they hold those for so long? That's one thing I kept thinking. Like the whole battle was like, where are these colossi they keep talking about? Where are they?
They had to bring them out as like a last resort kind of thing, and which is what they decided to do. I don't know. It's like a last line of defense kind of thing, kind of like a surprise. Like
they're these like it'd be
I mean, why don't you just take
like
your
Pacific
entire
Rim? They're
army
like,
and
oh no, it's like Pacific Rim. They're like, we're gonna hold off. We're gonna wait till these creatures are killing people, tons of people, and then it's like, all right, they destroyed half the city. We'll send out the mechs. Like it just seems like they built up all this colossi, and I was like, oh sweet, cool. This is gonna be and I'd seen the picture, so I was like, this is gonna be a cool battle. And then they just don't send them out until literally the very end. I was just like, wait a minute. It seems like there's nothing we can do.
In the middle.
Yeah, all right. I guess the middle.
They sent them out kind of in the middle of everything. They're like basically massive AT-1s is kind of like what I'm thinking. Like,
yeah. But why would
walkers?
Like, it just feels maybe it's just I'm reading more into it than I should be. But I'm like, you set this up that you got these big badass machines, huge like defense machines, and then throughout the whole first half of this battle, no one's like, hey, maybe we should send out the colossi we're losing. It's just like, and then when they do come out, it's just like, then we release the colossi. I was like, all right, I guess we're doing it now.
Yeah. The only thing I could think was like their original plan was to bomb their own city, so maybe that was part of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Really explain. Also, the two characters that you're thinking of, Barda and Udax.
Udax, yep. Barda.
Udax. Thank you.
Who that?
Udax was the one that tried to kill Hadrian, and then Barda was his superior officer.
Yep. Barda's the one that Hadrian's about to die to Behude, and then he's just like basically like ducks, and Barda comes in, pokes out the other eye.
No, it wasn't Barda that died. It was Udax. Udax was the one that actually took out the other eye.
Right? Okay. Yeah, whichever one.
Yeah.
Crushed.
And then got crushed.
Yeah, basically
like
it's a stain or whatever. Got absolutely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Which was one of the most pointless sacrifices in the book, because they believe that he was seeing with that eye, which I guess he kind of was, but it wasn't necessary because he can receive information from wherever, I guess. And that's not where his brain is, right? Like that's not where any kind of vital functionality was. He had a mission to blow himself up, right? So basically, miraculously, which is where we got to in the point of the book. But the underground tunnels that you're talking about with the bombs, they once they get pushed back, they have a plan to basically bomb underneath the massive one of the massive siege towers, or one of the massive ships. But they have to like go through and get to the place, and then like kind of like send it, and basically bomb underneath them. So they end up like taking out like a third of the Cielcen, which is a ton. So a third of the most massive Cielcen force that they've seen so far is a massive amount of Cielcen. So this actually was like a kind of detrimental blow to the battle.
Was this after but then we learned that they're just the Vanguard, right? Or this is after the other people had showed up, the non-Vanguard.
Because no, this is pre them learning that this is just the Vanguard. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like not as.
It's not as.
It's like a victory for them. That's really kind of very quickly like no. Like you thought you got a little victory here, but the worst is yet to come.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There's another soldier that shows up for just this battle, which makes sense. She's on this planet. We get the name, and of course she's the one that then ends up sacrificing herself.
Mhm.
I don't remember her name.
Yeah, the one that
It's with an
was
N,
asking,
I
yeah,
think.
Nira or something
So
maybe.
One other thing that I
no.
found just I think this is just the nature of like we're living in this sci-fi world where we're being presented these kind of crazy ideas. But a lot of time has passed since the Demiurge, right? Hundreds of years. Valka knows how to defeat the Nahute, which she does in this part. She shows up at the last second and is doing like the 11 thing from Stranger Things of just like, and then they all fall.
Rena was the name.
Rena, yeah.
Rena.
I do find it a little hard to believe that like this knowledge of like we know now how to defeat the Nahute. We can make them completely pointless if we were to take that knowledge and kind of like the only thing I can get on
scale it.
It's like I can kind of get on board with like maybe they wanted to keep that information from the Empire. I don't know why, but maybe. And I could maybe believe that if we at least have a conversation about it. But we don't, and so therefore we are just completely unprepared for these Nahute again, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Except for with Valka, who also has now like bigger superpowers, kind of. Which are really cool moments. Again, I think they're really cool. But
Yeah.
I am like, how many battles with Nahute before they're like, man, maybe we should teach, create this technology that other soldiers can use or something.
You are very limited to what you can actually invent in this society, because the closer you get to, I guess, Valka's level, the more scrutiny you're going to be under the Chantry's eye. You cannot create something that is in likeness of like a machine, right?
And that's fine. I can kind of I can get on board with that, but like to me, a believable character in that moment, even though they know that, like they would still bring that up. In my opinion, someone would bring that up and be like, "Hey, you know how to do this. We should do this," and then we could be like, "Well, we can't, and here's why." But like, this is under the assumption that literally everybody just automatically knows that, and it's unspoken. Like no one is like, "Hey, I know this is bad," but also they're murdering a bunch of people with this one weapon, which we could figure out how to take out. I don't know. It's just like I don't mind that we can't get there, but I wish there was a believable path other than just like she's just gonna in the 11th hour when everything looks grim, she'll show up and do her little force power and be like, "Don't forget." And she's like quipping. She's like, "Oh, I saved you again with it, didn't I?" He's like, "Oh shucks, you got it. I forgot you could do that, but you saved me again." And I don't know.
Oh gosh. There's something about the Nahute that I just doesn't sit right with me. I hate when they're on the page. I hate whenever I read about them, just because okay, you're gonna slice a couple Nahute in this fight. Like it happens almost every fight. I understand like it is kind of like the ranged weapon of the Cielson, but to me it does. I'm with you. It just doesn't feel, I don't know, like believable. Like I kind of want to see like a reveal to where like the Nahute are actually like adapted living creatures, or you remember those like worms that we saw like in that novella at the bottom of the blood pool or whatever that were feeding. I kind of want to see like the development of those to like, oh, these are actually Nahute. They're just modified or whatever. But I don't know. I don't like Nahute barreling or burrowing into multiple people every fight.
It's like it just became a little bit repetitive. I did like though. I think the coolest thing they did was they swarmed the sky to prevent like bombs coming down or what. I can't remember exactly what it was.
They like shielded.
Yeah,
to me,
it's like that's a really
swarm
cool,
of them.
Yeah,
that was cool.
I'm like, oh, cool. Like they have different uses that like, oh, they now know that humans have figured out this technology that they can no longer. So they're adapting as well, right? Now they're going to start using them for different purposes in a
Yeah.
threatening way. Like to me, it's like all the DNA is there for explainable, believable, and cool, and we still get the Nahute, but there's also like some progression. It's been hundreds of years, and you expect me to believe that no one's even thought about that, and it's just hard for me to get on board for that. Yeah, when it's like it's right there. It's like it's right there. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. Again, I don't think like just little things. It's like when he referred to the Yubalu as like the he had the armor that his sword couldn't cut, and he's like hitting him on the. He's like, oh, and then I got him in the joint
In the knee.
and
the
it
knee.
worked. And I was like, oh great, we're gonna if another thing shows up and they don't immediately go for that, then I'm gonna have some problems here. But it didn't. I feel like we made that change. I think one showed up and somebody had a sword and just like immediately hit him.
Immediately, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
and I was
tried to
like-
magnetic grenade those specific joints and
Yeah.
stuff to make them like. That's pretty cool.
It's like believable progress, right? We've learned,
Yeah.
we've adapted. We're not going to do the same thing over and over again, but then for only certain things. And it feels like it's there just to create this tension so Valka can show up and do it. But Valka can still be badass by continuing to do it and teaching or I don't know. I just don't like it when it's used as like a, whoa, oh no, how are they going to get out? And then Valka shows up to do her thing. Like how many times are we going to do this now? You know,
Well, no more apparently.
apparently, yeah. Well, maybe,
Ooh.
maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, let's progress.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
progress
sorry.
in the story so that we can do it.
Yeah.
So Ian touched on the point. So after they blow up a third of the ship, they realize, oh crap, they're kind of pissed. We got to get out of here. So they kind of like fly over to no man's land using the Iktani. But as they're doing that, they see the massive tank that we've been talking about. And this is a massive tank, and they don't know the function yet.
It's like an H2
And
Hummer.
Hadrian's just like, that can't be good. Whatever it is, can't be good. We got to go and stop it.
Mhm.
So he and Lysander Lynn both take their squads and kind of board this tank, which is where they eventually meet up with the what is the planet's name? Milo, something like that. Where they first encountered the extrasolarian.
Oh, Minos.
Minos.
Yeah.
Minos, yes. So Minos scientist, which is the first human that they've seen actually fight against them with the Cielson.
Mhm.
So this Minos scientist we found out to be like a Psalm, right? Like he ends up getting beheaded, and Behude shows up and they have this massive fight. But unfortunately, he was a Psalm essentially and is still alive. And as soon as Valka saves Hadrian for the third time or whatever it is that she said, from Behude's grasp, because I think at some point during the fight, he gets grabbed by one of Behude's massive hands and starts getting crushed by him. And Valka releases him, but she opens the channel, the pathway for the Minos scientist to get in her brain and meddle with it. Basically, like he just kind of like downloaded a virus to her, essentially. And that's what Ian was hinting at, as she can't do that no more.
Well, a little bit more than that, because then she doesn't know. They are able to kind of root out the scientist, and so she's kind of separated, and then she kind of refers to like kind of severing the connection, but she doesn't know what's kind of going on with her body. And so when they actually make it through this encounter, she tells Hadrian that she needs to get put on ice, because the only place that she knows of in the galaxy that can possibly cure her, fix her, is her home world. And so then Hadrian like basically says like she needs to go on ice. If anybody contradicts me, you tell them that she's going on ice under my orders. And then they like kiss, and she says I love you, and he remarks how she never says that, and he he uses her line, and then he says, and that's the last time I ever saw her.
Wait, he does? I ever
Yeah.
saw her?
Yeah, and like last time I ever saw her.
What?
Yeah.
I missed that too.
I don't think
missed
so.
that
Yeah.
too. That was
Yeah.
a pretty big
I don't think
reveal.
so.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
don't think
pretty
so.
big reveal. I did not
Yeah,
realize
that's how I heard it.
I don't think so. Wait.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was expecting. Because right, he set us up with the grave site on the island where they were. Like that's where he's gonna bury her at some point in the story. But I don't
remember
think so.
what chapter is it?
It's gotta be the final chapter, right? Right.
Man,
no, it's
there
not
is-
the final chapter, but
there is so many
Yeah,
points in this story where one of us just hears like a line from the future. This is the problem with this kind of like perspective, kind of outside of things, where we just think like, oh, he said this and it means like this, like.
Yeah. That's the problem. Is like he just like refers to her going on ice, and it's sort of like the way I took it was like she is now on ice for like an indeterminate amount of time.
yes, I
It's
do
like-
think that. And I could see like him. Because I went in expecting like, wow, this is where we're gonna get surprised. He's gonna kill Valka. Like that's a bold move. It's a bold move, but like, right?
Wow.
Shit happens, and this would be a huge blow to Hadrian. He had already foreshadowed he was gonna bury her on that planet. I can't wherever the library is.
Mhm.
And so I was like, wow, he's gonna do it. But then I remember feeling left like, no, like the last time I saw her maybe in like a full state of like exactly who she was, but she's maybe forever changed or something. But I don't remember it saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I may have misheard how it was phrased, but there was.
Hadrian
So-
probably did. He definitely thought like he treated her like she was dead. Basically, he's like, she's dead. She's dead. Oh,
She's gone on ice.
yep. She's dead.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out what chapter that was.
To me,
where-
though, right? It's like,
it's like the
how
closing
is that
line of the
unclear?
chapter.
How can this be unclear, Christopher Rocchio? Like, dude, you got one job. You
Yeah.
got-
I think I would have remembered that. Like
I think
that
I
he
would-
said that.
Yeah, I think so too.
But maybe not though, because it could have been like a last liner on like the chapter, and I didn't really like catch the significance of that line. But
We'll
as
see
you
if
guys
I-
are reading through, I'll go ahead and keep
Yeah, yeah.
on chugging through the
Keep on
chugging through
chugging.
the story, and just interrupt me once you find it. But so yeah, they battle Bahude. Lots of people die. Lots of Victani die. They stop the drill, but they stop the tank. Not by their doing, but by the Ictani's doing. The Ictani outside were targeting the treads of the tank, trying to get it to stop its progress towards the wall. And they ended up succeeding in that effort. And Bahude's like, we get to hear through Valka's virus mind a conversation between Bahude and Doryaika. And Doryaika's basically telling Bahude, or Bahude is apologizing for his failure to Doryaika. And ends up telling Doryaika, basically, I'm going to sacrifice myself, like, in order to complete this mission. And Bahude's plan is apparently going to be overloading his core directly next to the wall, which would be sufficient enough power because of how massive he is to actually succeed in what he's succeed in penetrating the wall. So Hadrian does everything he can to stop it, or tells everybody else, as if they weren't already trying to do that. And in the end, Valka was able to recover enough to open up Bahude's vulnerable points so that Hadrian can deal the final blow. And with the absence of a solid command, the Cielcin's nature and the amount of Cielcin on the field, due to the lack of command and hierarchy there is in there, end up falling. And he even comments like some of the Cielcin were even fighting each other, like for power. on the field while fighting humans. So it was very easy for them to actually take back the surface during this time.
I did find
Found
it.
it, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
He
Go
says the
ahead.
smile is the last I saw of her. He's referring to his field of view,
Yeah.
not to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah, that is my
And
gist.
that's how I
is
heard
that-
it. Was
As he
like I
quips
was
to
like, you're
her.
not wrong. He's like, you're not
Dude,
wrong.
yeah.
As,
she says, I love you, and he goes, "You're not wrong."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
yeah, it says
totally.
the smile is the last I saw of her. I was like, oh, I guess she's going on ice forever. Like
It is my impression that the very first place that they will go after the Battle of Berenike would be, unless of external circumstances withheld, Tavros, back to fix Valka. Like that's his
Yep.
first primary objective as soon as this battle is done.
I think that will be what he wants to do, and I think maybe the Emperor will call him home, and there's going to be some maybe conflict there. Hopefully,
That's your
or
hope.
something.
That's your Matt. You're constantly disappointed, so don't say that.
I
dude.
know,
You
yeah.
gotta wish
Like, give
something
me something
else. You
interesting.
gotta wish something else, man.
Yep. We'll just start the next book, and Valko will just be better. He's like, yeah, we went to Tavros.
Yeah,
They fixed her.
Tavros and Victor.
And he's like,
I met her
hey,
family.
I
Her
saved you
dad's
this
really
time.
cool.
I will
Yeah.
say though, I did really like I said, I liked Valka, and I liked their relationship in this book, and I liked the chapter where she finally like kind of gives in, or not gives in, but meets him of like, we don't marry, but she gives him this little trinket of what they do, her people do. It's like their version of marriage, basically. And I did
Yep.
like that scene. I thought that was nice and touching. So
Yep, I agree.
shout out Valka. I don't want her to
Shout
die.
out to
I like
Valka.
Valka, and I feel like she is needed to like ground him because
Mhm.
God, he needs somebody. But I do think it would have been a pretty bold move for someone. I'm trying to think of like important people that haven't made it. Important that I feel. I'm not told they're important. And then they die, but like people, I'm like, damn. Like, I think we didn't spend enough time with who was the guy that died in the beginning of Howling Dark? That's like Polino. No,
It's
Amir
like
Badon.
Gen.
Gen. Yeah, like
Gen.
I think Gen's like the biggest maybe. But I just didn't really feel like I knew him enough.
Gen is one. Siren is another one, which she didn't really die, but she's basically dead to Hadrian right now because
yeah, I would
she's
say
off page.
to me,
right?
it just
So-
felt so much like Rockio had nothing more to do with her. Write her out.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't feel like we had. I think there was one point earlier in the book where she just randomly was like, "I don't like doing this anymore." No, and it's just like, oh, foreshadowing. But yeah, it just feels like
Yeah.
she's gone. Talk about like what, in my opinion, were supposed to be like emotionally charged moments. I think that was like him saying goodbye to one of his very close friends, and struggling with that. And I will say I felt nothing. I don't know if you guys did. I wanted to. It's like I feel like I'm supposed to, but I just didn't. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember feeling whenever I was listening to that was just like, man, Hadrian's kind of a dick to his friends. Like that's my feeling.
You
'Cause
go,
I'm just
girl.
like,
Get
man,
out of there.
just let her go, right? Like you already knew that she wanted this. Like she's fought so many battles beside you. I understand that you have a thing with like oaths, and like she did kind of swear to protect you always, but she was basically a gutter rat, like with you. Like she's just a gladiator, that just a normal person
Mhm.
that got the patrician, and she kind of like wants to live out that normal person life, right? And
Which
not
I
die
really
in
like
a,
that
not
on
die in a
paper.
battle.
Like I really
Yeah.
like the idea of that. It's very real. It's like very realistic for a character like her, and he's
Right.
gonna meet people like this along his path. Give her some more page time to where I feel some sort of connection to her at all. So then when that parting happens, I'm like, man, that sucks. I don't want you to go, but like I get it. I get you. And like that sucks
Yeah.
for me as the reader because I don't want to say goodbye to you, but I don't care. I don't care that she's gone.
Yeah.
She's just another name, and now there's Doran, whoever Doran is, like, and like,
Durant.
well, there's
Yeah.
Durand and there's Doran. There's two, Durand and Doran. There's two characters, and there's just a fuck ton of typos in there. But there's a
Dorian?
dude called Doran
Okay.
who shows up, or Dorian. I can't
Okay.
remember.
Well, I don't want to get too much in the weed about specific characters because they don't act. They even to Christopher Rocchio, they don't matter, right? Like
That's why I'm afraid about Lorian.
if it's not
Speaking of
Hadrian,
Dorian,
then
I-
yeah.
I am afraid. I really hope like Lorian has potential, Aristides, to be a real character here, and I really hope he doesn't get sidelined in the next book. I'm worried about that. I want him to become a big, meaningful character because that's what I don't want him to just exist in this book because he did. He really just showed up in this book out of nowhere.
Well, to the scholars, Lorien is actually was more important in this battle than Hadrian.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Hadrian doesn't like those scholars, so they don't matter.
I mean, as a reader, like Lorien really just showed up in this book, became part of the crew, and we were told he's important now, and he was through this whole book. But was he there to serve the purpose of the character for this final battle? Because he is right. You're right. He is arguably more important than Hadrian in this battle. But now that that's done, he's just going to be gone. They serve his purpose in this book, and now Christopher Rocchio will write him out, and we just keep doing that. That's what I want more Valkas. He can do it. That's why it's like I can see it. I want to feel connected to Polino. Right? Give me more Polino, to where I feel for him, and I am afraid for him. If Polino would have died, I would have been like, that sucks. Like, I just don't really feel anything for the characters too much, and I want to, because there's glimpses of it.
Yeah, it's no Whiskey Jack, huh?
It's no Whiskey Jack.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. What Matt wants is he wants a harem. We need more Valkas.
harems.
We need more nothing but Valkas.
We need more Sire. No, just not more Sire. We need more page time for Science.
And don't forget about the freaking Dryad. What's her name? Ilex. Don't forget about her.
Ilex.
Who just is
we haven't heard about Ilex
not
in about
the book
like
anymore.
probably 400 pages, right? So
yeah, exactly. Just like where was she was up? She was with the crew, right?
She
was the one that went out to get.
She's up in the Tamerlane with Octavia Corlo, which is where I'm gonna get to next.
Yeah. Sorry.
So after they defeat
dying.
Behude and they basically wipe out the entire vanguard on the planet, but there is still a giant moon ahead, which you did kind of forget to mention. the world ship of the Prince of Princes, Doriaika, is the size of essentially a planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a planet blocking out the sun.
Straight up
creating a superficial eclipse against the sun. Not only does it do that, but it also sends down orbital lasers to the field, capable of wiping out anything in its path or reducing it to atoms, basically.
Yeah.
It is a massive weapon that they use against them, but at the end of the day, they are still able to defeat the Vanguard, even with the laser, and then they kind of feel like it's a hollow victory at some point, though, because the fleet that's incoming, it is so massive. It's like it's going to be inevitable that the humans will be overtaken, right? But everybody there still has a lot of fighting spirit. Lorien's just like, yeah, we can do it. We can hold up, because they're holding out for reinforcements from the outer force that the captain, or the Hauptmann, Titus Hauptmann, which, by the way, has the coolest name given to anybody from a Cielsen, the Beast Hauptmann. Now, coming from a Cielsen, that is actually a massive credit to Hauptmann, and how much that he actually hindered the Cielsen forces in the past, because they always call any human like rats, right? Like, we're vermin, but they say the Beast Hauptmann. So cool props to that guy.
And we actually do learn why they refer to us as rats, or why they refer to people as rats.
Yeah.
And it's because every time they've come to a world, when people see the Cielsen coming down, they dig deep. They go deep, right? They go into tunnels and things like that. And that makes sense, because that's what people would develop as a way to as a deterrence to nuclear weapons and bad weather conditions, right? Is they would develop fallout shelters. So because people are using those when they see the Cielson refers to them as rats because they have to dig them out in order to get at them. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool bit of knowledge there for sure. But yeah, but in order to stall out for more time, that's when Hadrian decides to connect with Doryaika's massive hologram image, who is basically telling them to surrender even after they wiped out the Vanguard, because it's basically inevitable that they will end up digging out these rats and feasting upon them, right? And so he what's his name? Hadrian buys more time by offering himself as tribute to Doryaika himself, and Doryaika's like, okay. He takes him up.
Hadrian's like, wow.
He's like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, which is totally believable, as Matt said. Like, totally, the evil guy's just like, yeah, trust my word. Yeah, totally. I have an entire fleet above you, and we'll just take you. But in reality, all he wanted to do was create a big spectacle of the Cielson victory over Hadrian Marlowe, the devil that can't be killed, and show everybody that he can be killed. And Hadrian kind of gets that sense as Doryaika is talking, right? Because once the time eventually comes up, like, hey, like, you got to come out right now, like, because it's about time. So Hadrian goes out, and nothing happens, right? He's expecting a ship. He's expecting some kind of like transportation to his big world ship. He's expecting like Cielson to come and like put him in chains. But nope, that's not what happens. He sees nobody, and he gets the sense that Doryaika is talking to a massive amount of Cielson, right? He's like, this is the whatever. And he's trying to make as big a spectacle of this killing as possible to the humans and the Cielson that are watching. But it ends up backfiring as soon as he exits the laser completely unharmed. And not once, but twice. And another one. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Convince me. Why Doryaika? Hadrian's like, can you give me like 48 hours? And Doryaika's like, yes, 48 hours. Not actually 48. Whatever.
He gives him 24 hours. He gives him 24 hours till the next day.
Why?
Well, he says no, you're coming now, right? Like, and then he's like, no, give me some time to get my affairs in order, and then I will go out.
So why on earth would Doryaika agree to that? Let me get my affairs in order. Like, that just sounds like, let me contact the Emperor. Let me contact all these people. Let me basically do anything I can to stop you from doing what you're about to do. Like, and it's like...
It's because of the arrogance of the Cielson. So the Cielson is, as a race, are very arrogant, are very superior. They think of themselves as the, apex being, basically, aside from the Watchers, which we find out also that the mission from Bahude's last words, the mission of Doryaika is actually to become one of those beings, to be like them.
Yeah.
So Doryaika is trying to transform himself into something like that. So in that same essence, the significance of Hadrian Marlowe's request, the significance of them asking for this is very is beneath him, right? Like, he's like, okay, sure, like, to him it's not that big of a deal.
I hear you. I'm half on board. I'm half on board with it.
At least that's how I kind of see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I could also see, like, maybe he does want to put out the call to be like, hey, tomorrow 8 a.m. I'm gonna kill this guy. Everyone tune in, kind of thing.
I also exactly. That's really what I was gonna point out, was that he probably has his own reasons why that would actually be beneficial to him, because he can probably figure out ways to broadcast this to, or like really figure out how it can be like as big a spectacle as possible, a bit as big a blow as possible, and a boon to him.
Yeah.
Um,
I hear it. It just reminds me of like, in like James Bond, when like James Bond, he gets caught. He's at the end of his rope. Nothing's gonna save him. But thank God the villain has to monologue for like 5 minutes, in which time someone can come save James Bond. It just feels a little bit like that. Like in reality, I could see him and Dorayeka being like, "I'm gonna be a god. I don't care. This is beneath me. You little, I'm gonna put on a show." But in reality, it's like these people have been warring with the Empire for however long, and it's like, in theory, it's like you're gonna give this guy an opportunity to put out the call. It's not like they're like if it was like we're jamming all of your outgoing signals. Fine, you can do whatever you want. Nothing's leaving this place. You can say goodbye to your people or whatever you want to do. But it's like he should know that's like this could be a huge blow to the Empire, but you're gonna give them time to put out a call. It's I don't know.
The only thing I would just say to that is like the whole idea of like put out a call. I don't think is really like a thing, because they've already like they already know the Cielsen are there. Like everything the Empire, everything that Hotman knows about the Cielsen, like all the things they encounter, it's already been transmitted, right? Like they already engage with each other. All that data is already transmitted. So as far as like putting out the call goes, but I would agree with you as far as like half and half. I mean, I took it to be like, oh, here's a way that we can publicly execute Hadrian. And so that's how I just took it. It was like, well, like, he'll just make it easy on me to publicly execute him.
Yeah.
And so I'll just kind of flaunt. I'll just, I'll show my power and I'll flaunt it, right? But as far as like, does he need to do that? I mean, yeah, he will get Hadrian as soon as he busts through and takes everybody, right? And he can publicly execute him then.
I say you could really just blow up the whole city with the laser. You could just hit the city with it over and over and over. They're walled up in there, but like, I think that thing could have probably destroyed it, right?
No, I don't think that. I think the shields are like, because it's drawing energy from like geothermal energy. It's drawing energy from the core of the planet itself. I just don't think that the laser would have enough power to really affect
because
the wall itself.
It seemed like we've waited, like Hadrian's like, well, we waited as long as we can. We cannot hold out anymore. They're gonna come in and get us somehow. So they were basically like, him allowing him that time was him actually allowing that time, instead of like, oh, maybe we can't get in right away and we're gonna have to fight through. It's like they could have just gone in and killed them all. But
the time is more so about getting Polino inside and letting the troops come back inside. The time frame is more about that than it is about, like, he says like get affairs in order.
Sure.
But it's a lot more about
that. That's what I'm saying.
No, he specifically is bargaining for Polino's life. He's like, I need, we need to get these men back, and like I need the time. It's like, we did talk about affairs in order, but like the time frame is more about getting the troops back.
Sure.
Than it is
as like a war
Hadrian.
Criminal, like you, I just feel like he would think maybe there's a little bit more to that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
He ends up accepting the offer, right?
He does.
Being like, okay, and he does not continue his assault on the planet using the orbital laser or whatever, on the retreating troops back to the wall, which is what Hadrian wanted, right? And the time goes by, and then we all know what happens. And he comes back, and what are they cheering? What are they cheering, Matt?
Son of the Earth or something like that.
Son of the Earth.
Son of the Earth.
Son of the Earth. Yeah, you think the prince is cheering that too, Ian?
Nope.
Nope.
His hand's still broken. He's hurting.
Yeah. The son of
I can't remember. I can't remember if his hand broke before this or after this. It was before this, right?
His hand broke before this, for sure.
Yeah, the Son of Earth is literally like the last line of the book. There's a little like paragraph where he's like, "There are endings, reader." And this is.
But
yeah,
he does refer to himself, so he is a self-proclaimed Demon in White.
Yeah, he's the demon
He
in
does
white.
refer-
He's
He
the
does refer to himself as Demon in White.
so
Even though
Yeah.
technically he was wearing black and red when he went out to meet the laser, he still refers to himself as the Demon in
that's
White.
true. I will say I was expecting a little the ending of this one felt very similar to the ending of Howling Dark. Because they're like half mortal. They're all like saluting to him and bowing, kneeling to him.
Very true.
That's
yeah,
like
that's
literally
that's
the
a
ending
good
of Howling
point.
Dark. So I was like, surely
Mhm.
we're not doing this again. And then we did.
Son of the earth.
We did.
He's
and
just
four-
acquiring more titles.
I know. Yeah, he's gonna have to
Just
ramp it up next
acquiring
time.
more.
But yeah, next one they'll be like actual Earth. So
We're gonna do
Husband
this
of
every book.
Earth.
Every book, Morty. We're gonna do this every book. 4 more books, Morty. We're gonna-
yeah, exactly. I will say there's a little bit of genuine concern from me of like this is peak Sun Eater. I think it's like generally considered this is the best one. Now that's happened with Malazan too, right? Memories of Ice is the best Malazan, and like
True.
even though like House of which I don't know if I agree with that, but
Dude,
even though House of Change is not as good, it's still like incredible. So it's like even if the rest are not as good as this, but like they're right there, then sure. But it does concern me a little bit. At least they're shorter. At least they're shorter.
yeah, I get you. Yeah, we're through the thickest boy. So
I do think maybe the last one is longer. But the
Oh,
next,
is it?
I think the last one's a big old boy because he was like rapping.
Is it?
Usually the
I
final.
didn't even realize it.
I think it is. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have that one. I don't have yet. But I did check. I like checked the page count of the next two because I was like, "Whew, this is a long book." I think this one's like 750, and the next two are both like maybe 450 or 550, so a couple hundred pages shorter, which is
Wow.
great.
Okay.
But I think it's because 5 and 6, not 4, but 5 and 6, I think was one, and the publishers were like, "Gotta break it into 2, buddy. That's too long. That's too long."
Yeah,
But-
I do think after talking with you guys about this whole book, and I agree with a lot of the points you guys have made. I think the coolness factor is driving a lot of my general like impression of the book. I do just enjoy the sci-fi coolness factor of the series and the plot itself, and I tend to think of things when I like remember them. I always think of them in like the best light, like.
Sure.
So I think that's probably why I am just always this is awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. It does sound I have been negative, but overall I did really like it. I think the thing for me is that when with like the rule of cool when that's kind of put into place, I don't mind that, but something about his writing, it tricks me into thinking there's more. Like it's so deep and profound and beautiful and lyrical, but the story is just like that's cool. Like, and so my mind can't separate these. It can't coexist for me. And I think it is just a me problem. It's just something I've experienced with these books. Because you're right. Like him standing under the orbital laser, awesome. Like really awesome. The whole battle in the tank, awesome. I think just the whole battle at the end in general, really cool. I just think it was a little. We could strip his writing back and simplify it a little bit, and I think it would serve the same purpose, and 2 be more clear in my opinion of just like let the rule of cool rule. Like let me just enjoy it. Let me sit back and have a cool little popcorn read and like this is badass and that's okay. But it's like tricking me into thinking like, "Oh, have you read Sun Eater? Oh, you don't understand it?" Oh. It's just like bad guy versus good guy. Like it's so simple in its premise that yeah, it's like confusing to my mind, but I do think the things that it does well, specifically like I do really like the discovery elements of it as we learn more about the Siaosin, and like really those are the best parts about each book is every time we learn a little bit more I'm like that's cool. With Karn Cigar, that was awesome. With the now the Extrasolarians and the Siaosin working together, and we learn more about the Quiet and the Watchers, all this knowledge that Hadrian we're learning along with him. I think that's the real like star of these books. And I do think he's handled for the most part the time element way. At first I was like, oh, we're just gonna be jumping time. I don't know how I feel about this, but it makes I've not read a ton of sci-fi, so maybe that's a more common thing. But it feels unique in my reading experience of like we're jumping a lot of time, but I still feel pretty grounded in this world, and it feels realistic in that way. And I think that's another of its strengths for me. Yeah, I hate being as critical as I am because it makes me sound negative, but there's a lot to like in the books. So why do you hate it, Ian?
I don't hate it. No, I mean I will say that I think the difficult things with reading Sunnier, because I know there are a lot of people out there who really enjoy it, but I know for me as a reader, it is always going to be difficult to try to sift between, for example, like rule of cool, how that plays into a story. Like, is it a good story because it's really cool and has those moments, or does it even need cool moments to be a good story, or does it have to have some combination of the both? I guess I tend to lead towards more some combination of the both. It's like I need a good story, and the cool moments are what's going to make it a peak. Like if you want to get above a 4.5 or close to 5, like you need a good story and the cool moments too. But I do recognize that sometimes I would say my movie watching is so like much lower than my critique for books. Like it's like you'll talk about movies, I'm like I was fine, like that was they did cool stuff. It was fun. It was a C tier action film, and that's what I want to watch. Like
Yeah,
it's
but
really fun.
I think that's the thing, right? It's like you're giving up 90 minutes of your time versus
Yep.
25 hours.
Yep.
It's just it's like the
Yep.
what do they call it?
But,
What do they call it? Opportunity cost or something?
Opportunity
Yeah,
cost,
yeah, opportunity cost.
But and we've talked about this before outside of these discussions, but I think there is an element to it that is difficult because you see some of the things that Christopher Rocchi is trying to go for. You see breadcrumbs, you see the outline, but it just doesn't feel like it's executed as well. And again, subjective, but even though I may see what he's going for, if I'm providing critique, then I gotta critique the execution, right? And so like when it comes to this story, I think there are a lot of things that do fall flatter. I think with Saran, I think that we need more development with Polino. I actually really do enjoy really like Valka, but the dramatic ending was for her going into cryo was really cool. But it did. I would also say there was some kind of awkward moments in the sense that her being in that battle was a lot more about her saving his life and being quippy. And then it ends in that, which it felt kind of weird. It certainly ended really well. Like when she got the virus, when she got grabbed, like when the stakes got real, but that was also the least amount of time that we spent with that battle. And so there's elements like that. I love the foil between Dariaka and Hadrian. I love the contrast between the first half, which thankfully we kind of ended there and it worked out really well, where he doesn't want to show people that he can survive, but he manages to block the blade because he doesn't want to be that for them because he knows he'll be basically in exile. Whereas the end, he like stands in front of the laser. Like you literally cannot get more public than that for people. And so it's really cool. He's like accepted like who he is in that moment. I love the elements like Tor Gibson contrasted to his own father and how the difference there might be the people he's willing to put faith in. But at the same time, I hate the fact that he has the conversation with Tor Gibson about it's the people that are with him and the faith he's willing to put in them that makes him different. And then the moment that Saran wants to step away, he's just like, no. It's like, dude, did you not listen? Like
to yourself,
dude. That's what I'm saying. He just sounds like a dick in that that whole interaction. It's just.
And I think,
in
reality,
it's
him.
Painful, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like his like mask that he's putting on, like because he's upset. But it's just it's the execution of it, of like, right? We're writing this story in a what do you call it? What kind of narrative?
Frame narrative.
A frame narrative. So future Hadrian's writing this. He knows that. And normally it's like he's willing to step in and be like, oh, I was young and dumb then for other parts. But here it's like that'd be a perfect thing to be like, I wish I had left that different, but my emotions got the best of me. And you know what I mean? Like that would be a perfect time for him to step in and be like, reader, listen, I'm not proud of this moment, but it's like, but you choose not to. And
Yeah,
that's
right.
when it's just like, ah,
Yeah. And I will say, like, now that I feel like this is I didn't weight this last thing into my score, but I wanted to add it here in this video, which is it's a heavy-handed critique, but I do feel like now that we're multiple books in, I think the frame narrative is not working, at least not for me. I don't think it's working for the story, and it's also creating confusion. Like, for example, that Valka moment, like, I'm glad I went back to re-listen to it, because one of the things that can be difficult in those moments is, like, sometimes future Hadrian jumps in, sometimes he doesn't. And so it's hard to know. It's like when he says, like, the last I saw her was that smile. It's like, hold on, wait, hold on. I got to know, like, is that present Hadrian or is that future Hadrian? Because it's future Hadrian. That is really important.
yep.
Right. And so, like, that
Yes.
complicates things for me. Now I will say that, like, I don't know how much Christopher Rocchio planned out, but again, breadcrumbs. There's an allegory here, and that's being presented with Hadrian, where this whole frame narrative thing could be really, really cool. I don't know that's going to get executed well, but, like, if at the end of this there's a contrast between Hadrian's frame narrative and what the Quiet is doing for Hadrian in the current moment, where it's like we're getting that future voice coming to us in the past. That's cool. That's a really cool setup. It's like, hey, the main character is getting stuff from the future. You're getting stuff from the future because you're getting it from the future Hadrian, who's operating like the Quiet. That's cool. I love the idea. But yeah, I mean, execution is really important. And
Execution.
right now, the frame narrative is, like, hurting the story more than it's helping.
It's hard to
And
do, I will say. I would imagine.
Oh,
like, because
I was
it's
talking to my
like-
wife about it because she's an author, and she was like, yeah, I mean, at least from her perspective, like, frame narratives, like, almost never get pulled off well.
It's because, like,
Yeah.
for me as the reader, whenever you butt in to tell me something as the narrator, one, I am assuming that this is, especially in this context where he's writing his history or whatever, he's telling us the real truth of what happened. I'm expecting what you're telling me to be true and important. You're important enough that you're stepping in to address me as the reader. So therefore, you shouldn't be lying to set up gotcha moments. Which, to be fair, I don't think this is really done. Kind of. But in theory, it's like Tor Gibson, right? He made it seem like he never chose to butt in and be like, and I did see him again one day. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you say that other than just to withhold information from your reader to make it exciting? I think that's the type of problem that comes up with frame narrative for me, of like, you're omitting things to create tension, but what are you writing? Are you writing like a fiction sci-fi novel, or are you just documenting your story? Like, and there's a part of Hadrian that is so dramatic that maybe he would do that. He probably would do that, actually. That, so it's like, but are we that many levels deep, Christopher Rocchio, or is it just not great execution? Because to me, it feels like, and I never saw her again. Then we should not see her again. Tor Gibson's like, he's dead. I mean, the amount of times he said Tor Gibson was dead was insane, and then it's just like, oh, you're not dead. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess he's not. Not that we believed it, but it's hard to create tension, I think, when it's a frame narrative, because that just means he's omitting it as a writer. And to me, I think some of the best type of tension can be when you tell me. If he said one day again I'd see Tor Gibson, I never thought Tor Gibson was dead. Personally, I mean, I don't think many readers probably would. But holding on to that nugget of like, oh, maybe we're gonna go see Gibson now. Maybe we're gonna see Gibson now, or like he's done it with Basander Lin, of like Basander Lin's gonna betray him. Ooh, okay, when's that gonna be? This growing tension. It can.
Well, doesn't he say he says where it's gonna happen, right?
I think
okay,
I think he did.
I always bring this up.
No,
I'm always bringing.
I think he did, but like, oh, are we going there next, or like when we finally see that, it's gonna be like, just because they're there, we don't know when it's gonna happen. They went to Gadadin, right? And it's like they didn't blow up the sun then, so it's like he could visit some places and it may not happen right away, and it just immediately spikes the tension. Oh, it happened at I don't know the place, but Berenike. That's where Berenike. That's where Basander Lin betrayed me. As soon as they land on Berenike, I'm like, oh shit, okay, something's gonna happen here. at some point, and like to me that can create tension too. It doesn't all have to be like a ooh gotcha, something crazy just happened. I think both can work, but frame narrative I think presents more of a problem with the gotchas for me. So
Yeah. No, I get that. To me, I mean, I guess it kind of makes. I think maybe like one benefit of frame narrative means like every time that you reread something in a frame narrative, you have you have even more insight into the future, right? So maybe it's like it gets really good if you like reread the whole thing, but is the story really that good enough for me to reread it? Like I bet you we would enjoy it more if we just like reread it, but we
with new
want to put
context.
ourselves put ourselves through that in order to get to that point. Like
Yeah. I would.
I don't know.
I at this point I would say I will not. I wouldn't reread this unless quality significantly improves. I'm having a good enough time to where
Right.
I'm trying to think like if we said today we don't want to do this channel
I
or
would
book
not
club
be
anymore.
sad, to be honest. Like I kind of would want to know a little bit more about it, but I'm not in love with it like other series.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't think I would continue, but I am happy to. Like again, I'm not like miserable when I'm reading it. It's just I think that there's better out there, and I think the expectations for this series that's been set up on YouTube or whatever are that this is like the best sci-fi series or like one of the best, like top tier. And so I think my expectations were just a little bit higher, but I'm excited to see what he does with next. Right at this point, like going from Howling Dark to this, I feel like there's some repetition, and I'm like, all right, I can kind of get on board with some repetition, but like we cannot do it again in the next book. We can't just keep doing the same thing. So next book's really gotta need to like wow
Yeah.
me in terms of like we're really doing something different here.
Yeah, and we have 4 major books after
4
this, right?
books,
Like
yeah.
there's 4 books of it in it, and we've already met like, one of the final what we feel like is one of the final big bads, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one book is probably going to be like him on the ship, right? It has to be, right?
I hope so.
I
God, I
don't
want to see
know.
Hadrian with the Sealsons so badly. Like,
I mean, it's gonna
so
happen.
badly. I hope so.
You got the drop. You got the drop that he's gonna be on that ship.
Yeah.
In what aspect? I have no idea.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Ian?
Well, I mean, we got 4 books, 3 generals, and the big bad. Seems like it
No.
lines up pretty well.
I
Time
hope
for
not.
it's time for a hunting side quest. Let's take
Yeah.
them all down and then go for the king.
God. That's the
That would
worst
be
thing that could happen.
so painful.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
don't know.
so
They-
painful.
The I mean, I would say like as far as the series goes, I mean, I'm gonna finish it, just regardless, just because we've already done multiple books now, and I've provided, like for me at least, I've provided enough of a critique that I feel almost obligated to finish it to be able to provide the full perspective, to give people, especially people who are big fans of the series, and Chris Verrocchio as an author, like the opportunity to really review the whole series as a whole. I don't know as far as the Sealson. It feels like we missed our Dagobah moment. Like he encountered Darth Vader, he encountered the Prince of Princes. It really felt like that was the moment he should have been taking in. But it didn't happen. So that makes me wonder, right? Now, to be fair, I guess the silver lining here is I don't think the Dariak is going to try that again. So maybe this is why he gets put in chains, right? Because the guy doesn't know how to kill him. So he's like, I gotta capture him. So maybe this is ultimately the event that leads to him getting captured, right? And maybe there's some arrogance from Hadrian or something like that, right? That leads to him getting captured. So maybe we needed this moment to set up that in the future. I don't know. My only concern, because I'm I don't know if there's gonna be a book in the series above a 4.0, and if there's not, that's okay. I'm not gonna like regret the time I
4.0
spent.
is still good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's still good.
I mean, I gave this a 3.8. Like that doesn't mean that I'm gonna, I don't use a rating system to rate whether I would reread it. Like I'm in the same boat with you guys. I don't think I would reread this series. I have books that I have rated lower that I have reread. I have books I've rated higher that I reread. I have books I've rated higher that I will not reread. It just there's definitely like on a reread there's a reason why I'm going through it, and usually it's a certain kind of entertainment factor. And usually the books are shorter. To be fair, like it does make it easier when the books are shorter. But I don't use that as like a way to determine if I would reread. But I think that for me, this is not the kind of like experience that I would want to go through again. I'm fine with reading it, but it's not what I'm looking for on a reread. I would rather go to other sci-fi series and go through those experiences and get to look at this from different perspectives and look at different authors' approaches to it and things like that. But I would say my concern more so is just I have made lots of references. Earlier I said I brought up Dune for a reason. The reason is this book.
Dude, people have been waiting for 3 hours for this.
Yeah,
they've been on the edges of their seats. They said
like,
he said he brought Dune up.
I know. I have the background. You guys can't hear it, but I've got the Dune music playing. I've been making several jokes throughout the entire thing, but I do want to bring this up at least now. I know it's not a fair critique, but this is the tropiest book of the series. And it was on my mind the entire time we read it. Like the colossal Behude is straight up Cyclops from Odyssey. The drill is straight up from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Valka is straight up using force powers. We have lightsabers. Then Hadrian's conflict over going to Berenica is straight up Dagobah from Star Wars. So there was and then now the Sun Eater thing. Like please do not go Ender's Game. Don't reuse that story for this story.
To be fair, I don't know that story.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that people like
that you mentioned.
I'm not saying he's like leaning into that like as if like if you've read these or watched these that like you're getting something extra out of it, but it's like too similar and I would say that there is a cool factor in like blending certain things from different stories, but if this can't be a patchwork of your favorite scenes and ideas from other stories put into one narrative. It's got to be your own thing. And like there was again there's actually more elements of Dune in this story than there were in the other one. Like
I'm reading Dune
it was
for the first time.
Yeah.
No
well,
major
you've seen the first.
I have seen the first two movies, so
okay, yeah.
I know generally where it's going.
But this is the one with the little penknife that like goes after him, right?
Yeah.
The straight up from Dune.
It's Hunter Killer. It's it's straight up from Dune. That's exactly what I thought. Like, but that was the one scene that I thought was similar. Like, I like everything else. I don't know.
To me, like stuff like that will never really bother me. If one, like you said, it still has its own identity. Like how many there's gladiatorial combat in like every fantasy and sci-fi book ever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's like, but I do feel like it was still exciting. I enjoyed reading it, and to me, it's as long as it's executed well, right? It's all about execution for me. Every story is just another story retold, but like you said, it is more of him picking and placing. Like, there's someone on a book Discord I'm on who's like really into like literature and stuff, and he went through these books and has picked out every reference to like a piece of art, a philosopher, or whatever. Dude, they are pages long, pages, and I'm like, cool, like cool. Like I know that it's clear that you love this stuff, Christopher Rocchio, but it just feels like you're really forcing it in there to be like, look at this. I went to school for this. I'm smart. I'm a smart guy. And I don't know. It just
paid a lot of money, man. He paid a lot of money.
He did pay a lot of money.
And a lot of time.
Yeah, but I know like we're way past the time we want to wrap up. But I would just again, I'm not saying that it's a fair critique. I don't hold it in my ratings, but I would say that that is something that is I would say a personal concern. I oftentimes like see elements of other movies, but in this one it just feels like I keep going to spots where I can pick out like this is almost exactly like this scene from this movie. This is like literally the same exact thing from the story. And so I am a little concerned about if he like how he's trying to make these things his own. because there are pieces of it where it doesn't feel like he's doing that. He's just using that piece in his story.
Yeah.
And there's a cool factor. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, big freaking drill, really cool. But like, straight up big freaking drill to drill into a wall that's run on a hydraulic, which is literally the drill from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And they even like have the encounter, like they even have like an encounter, and it's just So there's just things like that, and I'm just like, why? This is like too similar.
Yeah.
I would like to see, I would love to see like more things that are just really his own. And to be fair, the Extra Slayer and Cielsins, like that's part of the thing that makes them really cool. I mean, even if like one of them's almost like a Cyclops from Greek story, but still like that is a cool element of his story. I'd love to see him really lean into more of that. Apparently less Nahute, but that's okay. But like, yeah, really lean into like the things that make like your world really cool, like the things that are coming out of your lore, like lean into those. So yeah,
You guys mind if I say one more thing?
go for it.
Well, two more things. I got one positive that's real quick, and then one question for you. So,
All right.
through all my negativity, I do want to say I do think Rakio has improved from book to book. So I think that is why I'm hopeful going forward. Right, like you said, I think it's fair to give him a chance to continue to improve as a writer, and I do think he's done that. I think each one has gotten better for me, and I see the DNA for it continue to get better. So I'm hopeful for that.
Dude,
So
I really like the novella that we read like a lot because of
The
just
Crispin one?
the way that it was told.
I will
Yeah, the
say I
Crispin
liked that one better because of the narrative.
Yeah, it
form.
was not frame narrative, which is what I really appreciated.
Me too.
that.
I do think this truly would just be better if
Yeah.
it were just third person, like space opera.
Yeah.
Just let it be.
But
and it would
but
be
this
good.
was my favorite book though.
Yeah, this
I
is my
will say.
favorite book. Here's my concern and question to you guys. We're only on book 3 out of 7. Are you concerned at all? Because I think I am about like our main character's agency going forward. He now has a superpower in which he can just choose the correct path, the best path for him going forward.
And if he's in his flow state.
And if he's in his flow state, and if you can achieve that flow state while you're about to be murdered in front of everybody, I feel like you can just achieve that flow state. It'll be interesting to see if that's like the real struggle going forward, him not able to achieve that state. But really, it just seemed like it was just like acceptance, and that did it for him. So I am a little bit worried about every time, like the stakes being lowered a bit, right? Obviously, we knew Hadrian was going to make it through the series. But every situation now of like, oh, Valka dies in this path. She doesn't here. I can save everyone I ever cared about. Just like every decision becomes like, can he just do this at a certain point?
I'd be more concerned if that was the case. But it did feel like if Polino had joined him, Polino would be dead and he'd be alive.
If Polino had joined him out there
when he went to confront the Prince of Princes, yeah, Polino would be dead, and he can't save other people. He can save himself.
Yeah, I think I would agree at this point when he's not sure how to use it fully yet. But yeah, you're right. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll just be strictly for himself.
Yeah. But like, if you mean like if he can get to the point where like what the Quiet did, like where they pushed Hadrian to be in another variation after Hadrian had died. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a possibility for sure. But I do wonder at what point, like if Hadrian achieves that, I think Hadrian just is the Quiet at that point.
Yeah, which could be interesting. But again, it's like the stakes feel even a little bit more removed for me because it's like even if Hadrian makes the wrong choice, the Quiet have kind of proven that they'll just step in, and we don't know the limit to their power, so maybe it was a one-time get out of jail free card. But it, if their existence relies on it, does feel like they have the ability to do that. So to me, I think that's going to be a real challenge going forward of keeping the stakes high and interesting. But if he can pull it off, I think it'll be really cool because it's a different type of power that I've experienced. If this really like normally this type of power would be like, okay, you win, like you win. So seeing him write 4 more books and continue to raise the stakes in other ways, I think will be a challenge that I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
I think it
I'm-
needs to.
Yeah, I'm hopeful because I do feel like the Quiet is being set up to not be an ally.
Mm.
And I think if that's the trend that we're going with, then I think that anytime they butt in, it costs Hadrian something.
Mm.
And so there's kind of an element of like he can't die, but that doesn't mean he
It's not
can't lose
ne-
everything.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. And I think that we can definitely set up something to where like losing the sun, right, becoming Sun Eater, like costs him too much.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
And,
technically,
like,
I guess it
you're-
did, right? We know he's in
Yep.
exile,
Yep.
writing out his last days. So it's like, it's
Mm.
not really a happy ending for him. I guess we
Yep.
do know that.
Yeah.
So
So,
the path
but
to
yeah,
get
I'm
there
a,
should be interesting.
yeah. So I'm okay with that. I mean, main characters have a massive amount of plot armor. You're doing a frame narrative. He had he had literally maximum plot armor. Like agency, like in a story, is an
Yeah, nat
illusion.
20.
Yeah. So, but like, I would say that you're right. The Quiet, like some of these elements can, I think, be really problematic for the stakes. But I think there's hope there. Like he's handled it pretty well, I think, in this book.
Yep.
And I think there's still a lot to lose. And the whole galaxy can turn against him, right? And I think that's still on the table. Even if he becomes Sun Eater, I think that's still on the table, right? Maybe it's because he becomes Sun Eater, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's kind of an element of like we don't know yet what he has, like what he might lose. I mean, right now he doesn't seem to care too much about his crew. No, I'm just because Rockio maybe doesn't. I don't know. I'm just joking. But yeah, I think there's a lot to lose, and I think that's interesting too.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Los? Any hopes? I know we are way over, so if we want to call,
Yeah,
it,
we
can
are
call
way
it.
over, so I'll keep this short, guys. So there are endings, viewer, and this is one.
And this is one.
This is one. And no, but for real, I do enjoy the series. But as we have stated before, like I wouldn't be unhappy, if this was our, last series. But I do want to, I genuinely want to know what happens in this story.
Yeah.
Like that's it is cool to me. So
yeah,
I'm also perfectly happy continuing on.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I think that's kind of the thing that we talked about. It's like if we all reach a point, like if we finish a book and we're like, we don't have to finish it, or as a group, So, but I think we all like this one enough to move on to the next one, and
Right.
and that's exciting. So we'll at the very least do the next one, and then we'll
Mhm.
reevaluate from there. But all right, sign us off, Ian.
Okay. Well, again, thank you everybody for sticking it out, especially for longer than we thought we would go, which is the norm for this channel. But again, we really appreciate you joining us for this, and hopefully that you find this discussion really helpful. And if you have any contrary opinions, let us know in the comments, and we'd love to talk to you more about Sun Eater as well as other things that we're doing. But until the next one, this has been Hami Vomit. My name is Ian, and then we have
Counterclockwise
Clockwise.
for the outro. Matt.
counterclockwise
Keep
And
on our toes.
Lowe's.
and Los. And this smile will be the last that you see of us as we
Forever.
do the outro.
Ian is dead now. Dead. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching Happy Vomit. If you like, subscribe and leave a comment now.